Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We've seen NBC, MSNBC, CNN all imply that Christians kind of deserve what they got. Maybe the terrorists saw a Christmas tree. Well, now we've got reporters openly coming out in major newspapers implying that Christians were terrorists and basically deserved it. That's coming up. But first, the Attorney General says her number one fear is that she might have to arrest you if you don't fall down and worship the Islamic invasion. Here's the special report.
Attorney General Loretta Lynch said Thursday at the Muslim Advocate's 10th anniversary dinner she will take aggressive action against the incredibly disturbing rise of anti-Muslim rhetoric.
Actions predicated on violent talk are not America. They are not who we are, they're not what we do, and they will be prosecuted.
Lynch did not clarify what actions predicated on violent talk means and did not draw a line between constitutionally protected free speech and violence. She also did not pinpoint individuals or groups she believes participate in violent talk. Judge Andrew P. Napolitano notes the willingness alone to use violence is not criminal. It is only the actual use of violence that is. Thus, it is the manifestation of hatred as lawless violence that may be prosecuted. But the manifestation of hatred as a unifying idea is protected and may not be prosecuted. The First Amendment absolutely bars the government from interference from a person's thoughts or associations prior to any violent activity. Lynch's recent grandstanding before a Muslim group reveals the Justice Department and the Obama administration are promoting the so-called social justice agenda at the expense of the Constitution and the First Amendment. It also underscores the collectivist idea that government has the authority, enforced by its monopoly of coercion and violence, to protect the rights of preferred groups at the expense of the rights of the individual. Meanwhile, the female shooter in San Bernardino posted her allegiance to ISIS on Facebook, while Obama constantly inappropriately takes jabs at the Christian faith.
Remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ. Less than loving expressions by Christians? I get concerned.
That's right. Let's criticize Christianity on Easter, you piece of crap.
That's a topic for another day.
Why are we supposed to be politically correct while our traditions, rights, country, and very lives are increasingly threatened on a daily basis?
State your name.
I, Loretta Elizabeth Lynch,
Do solemnly swear
that
I will support and defend
the
Constitution of the United States
Constitution of the United States
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter. So help me God.
Attorney General Loretta Lynch, you do remember swearing in on Frederick Douglass's Christian Bible at your request. You do know it was Frederick Douglass who famously said, "I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong." The protection of religious freedom is the cornerstone of American society. And of course, not all Muslims are hell-bent on jihad, but it turns out a percentage of them are. And those psychopaths are in the United States and mixed in with the refugees streaming in as I speak. And they have no clue what American civil rights are, nor do they care.
No. Hey, listen, you're in my house.
No, President Obama, this is our house. John Bound for Infowars.com.
We'll be back, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side. It's a big Monday transmission.
Hillary Clinton wants to censor people who make fun of her. She was recently trying to censor comedy skits that poked fun at her, which were produced by the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, California. The owner of the Laugh Factory, Jamie Masada, told Judicial Watch that her campaign threatened to put him out of business if he didn't pull the videos. So in response to this attack on free speech, Infowars.com has launched the Make Fun of Hillary Defend the First Amendment contest with a first-place cash prize of $5,000. We want the funniest, most outrageous satire and comedy videos guaranteed to make Hillary's blood boil. To enter, read the contest rules at Infowars.com/contest and then shoot a comedy or satire video making fun of Hillary Clinton. All entries must be uploaded to YouTube and a link emailed to hillarycontest@infowars.com. Enter your video before the contest deadline at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. Once again, the contest rules and information can be found at Infowars.com/contest. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com. We look forward to your video making fun of Hillary Clinton.
Alex Jones here. InfoWarsStore.com is now partnering with the top-of-the-line storable food company, My Patriot Supply, to bring you the highest quality, freshest, longest-lasting, most affordable storable foods, private labeled, from InfoWarsSelect.com at the lowest price you're going to find anywhere. The globalists want us dependent. We need to be self-sufficient. And if you don't have high-quality, long-lasting, storable foods, I believe you're making a huge mistake. My goal is to find the best deals and bring it to you. Now is the time to take action and to secure your pantry for any emergency. You can buy all the great My Patriot Supply products at InfoWarsStore.com. They're the exact same products inside InfoWarsSelect.com. Visit InfoWarsSelect.com or InfoWarsStore.com today to check out the amazing deals for yourself. Secure you and your family's needs today at InfoWarsStore.com with InfoWars Select. That's InfoWarsSelect.com or 888-253-3139. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to December 7th, 2015. A date that will live in infamy, when the president, his attorney general, and foreign controllers openly declared war on the Second Amendment and promised to use executive orders to strip the United States of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and Magna Carta itself, which, of course, is due process. We're going to be playing the clip coming up when Obama says, who can you argue? Who could say it's not reasonable to not let somebody own a gun or buy a gun if they're on a no-fly list? Well, who could have a no-fly list in a country where there's no judge, no jury, no indictment, don't know how you got on the list, over 2 million people on the list, 70-plus members of Homeland Security on the list, a whole bunch of members of Congress on the list? You can't find out how you got on it, can't find out how you get off of it. No one says who runs it, just some shadowy black hole beyond the Ministry of Truth in 1984. Obama says it's insane. And this is how they turn reality upside down and say 2 + 2 = 1 billion. Or you didn't build your business, or Obamacare is going to be free, and then it's going to cut your prices, and then it's going to keep your doctor. Lies, 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 lies. It is so incredibly flagrant to abuse the Constitution like this, and they do it so calm, like, who could disagree with the government showing up at your front door and grabbing your 5-year-old and leading them outside to a wood chipper and throwing them in it? I mean, who could disagree with that? Who could disagree with pouring gasoline all over yourself and letting yourself on fire? I mean, this is basically akin to what they're saying. I mean, who could disagree with taking, terrorists who are on watch list and not letting them have guns? But that's not what's happening. It's not terrorists who are convicted or even suspected. It's not foreigners either. This Malik woman with her fake name and the rest of it from Saudi Arabia, this Jihad Jane, the leader of the attack that killed 14 people, not counting these two, it'd be 16 total. This leader of the operation joined ISIS, pledged allegiance to ISIS, and got into the U.S. with a fake passport, fake name, fake address. It turns out it's all fake. And the State Department says they're very sure that they did the right thing and that the vetting process was followed. Here, let me give you the exact quote. We also have the clip. State Department satisfied with visa process that allowed terrorists in the U.S. Oh, the IRS is back in Congress again. They tried this last year. They're trying to pass a bill right now, and they say it may pass, where if they say you're under investigation, no judge, no jury, no indictment, just somebody in the shadowy IRS that's on record persecuting Americans for political activities since 1913. Under Richard Nixon, under Barack Obama, you name it, just absolute evil. They don't want you to be able to fly out of the United States and will basically block your passport at the border. And now they're talking about doing it to go from state to state even. And the headline basically says, will the IRS even kick you out of your car? The IRS will be the enforcer of Obamacare. It'll be the enforcer of coming after our guns. It's the real shadow criminal organization that works for the private Federal Reserve. There's the headline today. Ron Paul's written the article, Will the IRS Take Your Passport? It's up on Infowars.com. Congress is giving the IRS the new power because a decline in gas tax receipts is bankrupt the Federal Highway Trust Fund. That's their bizarre spin. And you think asset forfeiture seizure is bad. Now this is just seize your right to travel because some shadowy group said so. See, this is what they call grade A, 200 proof, complete, absolute, bona fide, certified, hybrid, blue ribbon champion tyranny. Everything they're doing from A to Z in a 360 is 100% classical 800-pound gorilla oppression. Taking away your travel, taking away due process, surveilling everything you do, federalizing, centralizing police, saying we'll just put you on list, no judge, no jury, no nothing, no charges, no claims, nobody knows, boom, you can't have your guns. This president 4 years ago signed on New Year's Eve, yeah, it was 4 years ago, 2011, the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, that says citizens can be disappeared. Oh, but they're not going to disappear people from Saudi Arabia who pledge allegiance to ISIS or Al-Qaeda. That'd be bad enough because it could end up being used against us one day. No, you give them a trial and then you fry their ass. And a lot comes out in a trial. Corrupt governments don't want those trials because it'll come out who they're really protected by, who they're really working for. They're higher-ups in Saudi Arabia and others like Turkey. But now they say, oh, no, it's for the Tea Party and the veterans and the gun owners. Every SWAT team commander they talk to on the news, they go, why do you have giant armored vehicles? And they go, oh, it's for returning veterans and gun owners and conservatives and the Tea Party. A war's coming with them. And I guess when you try to take the guns and round people up, yeah, I mean, folks have tried to be restrained. I mean, I guess you will get resistance. You'll get to go out and play army with all the vets in your neighborhood. That'll go real well, cops. That's meant to wipe your ass out in a civil war, idiots. How do you think the globalists plan to launch this operation and take down the country? By getting us to kill each other. Don't be a moron. This is so crystal clear, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You ever been up on a mountaintop with blue skies? I was down in Big Bend a few months ago, and it was clear skies after a front came through. Big storm came through. Hurricane came through the first 2 days. It was crystal clear. You could see from top of those mountains over 100 miles away. I was looking at towns 70 miles away and then past them and other mountains. It's the song, I can see from miles and miles and miles. And you think we can't? We see the whole stinking enemy design. And I'm going to tell you this. If we have the globalist design to take down this country and we can't get the word out to the police, the military, and the Congress, and the general public, then we deserve to be slaves. Because we have their entire program. We have them caught red-handed, shipping guns into Mexico to blame the Second Amendment, and getting caught with the memos that it was a plan. Because lower-level ATF are like, this is criminal. We're getting people killed. What are you doing shipping thousands of guns in? Don't worry. It's to blame the Second Amendment. And they're like, well, I was hired because I'm a liberal anti-gunner, but really? That's a felony. I'm not going to be involved in this. It's one thing to be a cockamamie socialist at the ATF. It's another thing, isn't it, to be part of a false flag. Really want to be part of that? Really want to put your name on that? Because let me tell you, you're going to put your name on a lot more. Stuff's going to get real bad real quick. And it's going to be decision time for people all over this country and all over this world. You know what else happened this weekend before I get into the incredible news? I have seen CNN, NBC, MSNBC all go, well, my Christmas tree. Well, one of them was a talkative Christian, may have triggered, implying it was the victim's fault. They've actually had a major columnist, Linda Stasi, no pun intended, sensationally blamed the victims for being killed and basically calls them radical racist terrorists. Actually calls them racist. And doesn't count the Christian and others as a Messianic Jew. See, that's a double no-no. A Christian Jew had to be executed immediately. And it was and he told him, I'm coming to kill you. And no one would do anything because the guy was an Arab, and it's so political correct. There's no group more off limits than radical jihad Arabs. And so came to work with a list of who they wanted to kill, and they did. And they showed everybody who the boss was. There it is, Stasi. And I read that headline this morning, and I thought, Stasi? The East German secret police that Facebook's hired? See, I just said that, and that's actually true. And I can't even believe I just said it. See, that's how upside down these freaks are. Look at this, Stasi. That's the columnist. Let's put it back on screen. San Bernardino killers were radical, ISIS-loving monsters, but one of their victims was just as bigoted. Bigoted because he was a Messianic Jew and was worried about ISIS and was reportedly ministering and trying to get this guy to become a Christian, you know, at the lunchroom. And that's bigoted, you see. When Donald Trump went before a bunch of Jewish business people and said, I'm a great negotiator like you. I'm really good at getting stuff done and working together. They said anti-Semitic. No, that's not anti-Semitic. If I was in northern Italy at some city that is famous for making incredible pottery, and I was a person that made pottery as well, and I was speaking to their group of artisans, I would say, you are incredible artisans, and so am I. It's solidarity. No, if you point out, Kenyans, statistically, genetically, are the best long-distance runners in the world. It's just a fact that they dominate almost every global long-distance sport. That's not racist to point out Kenyans have superior genetics when it comes to that. It's not racist. It's a fact. But see, they sit there and they take these basic known facts and then they turn it into evil if you point something out like that. Like saying to Germans, gee, you sure brewed some good beer. Oh, my gosh, that's racist. No, it's not. It's like saying if you go eat Mexican food. Man, you made some really good enchiladas. Those Mexicans over there know how to really make good Mexican food. It's not racist. This is the mental illness, folks. And these people are sick, sick, sick freaks. And that's how much they hate Christians and Jews.
Earthquake, floods, winter storms, prolonged power outages, or war. Each of us have had that moment when we recognize that we need to be better prepared. We typically do the same thing. We start with food storage, then we address the need for water. But have you considered heat storage? I'm talking about staying warm in the cold. Here are some things for you to consider. How will I keep my family warm? The standard answers are firewood, coal, or propane. But the problem with that if you need to be on the move is you can't take it with you. Another concern? There may come a time when you need to stay warm without smoke, like in times of war. There may even come a time when you can't burn fuel. The answers may be simpler and less costly than you think. For these answers, go to fortressclothing.com. Again, fortressclothing.com has the answers to your heat storage dilemma. Don't get stuck in the cold. fortressclothing.com. You'll never be cold again.
What looks good under your Christmas tree and tastes even better? Big Berkey water filters. Yes, the gift of clean water. A gift that provides a great foundation for achieving good health in the lives of your loved ones. A Big Berkey water filter gives them protection from bacteria, heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, pesticides and herbicides, VOCs and more. And best of all, a Big Berkey water filter is a gift that lasts for many years with no additional investment. And that saves time and money in filter replacements that other water filters require and are even powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water. As always, all orders over $50 are shipped free, and GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Order online at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com, spelled Big, B-E-R-K-E-Y, waterfilters.com, or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Gift well this Christmas. Give a Big Berkey water filter.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined. From where we shop to the doctors you visit and the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at $danger.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to $danger.com. Again, that's $danger.com.
If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
With a new year coming, it's time for a new way to look at weapon storage. Safes can't be accessed quickly, and racks are unsafe for children. Covert cabinets are the next level in home defense. They fit seamlessly into any home's decor, and they provide quick access to firearms while keeping them uniquely hidden. Covert cabinets, the ideal hidden storage solution. Custom made in the USA. Covert cabinets are an elegant and practical alternative to the bulky and obvious storage systems of the past. Find out more at covertcabinets.com. That's covertcabinets.com.
All right, this is just a 6-minute segment. The next long-minute segment's coming up, 18 minutes. I'm going to really go over the huge news, how big a deal the president's speech is, what it signifies, what it means judicially in this country. It means the rollout of extrajudicial disappearance of people, disappearance of your money, not letting you travel, confiscating your guns because some magical group said so. The FBI came out 6 months ago, because the FBI doesn't want to be part of this. And I'm not lionizing the FBI. It's just, compared to the White House, they're actually good guys, the more I look at it. The FBI came out and said, we just want everybody to know in Congress, we've been told to prepare the same algorithm used on veterans by the VA, where even electronic transfer of funds basically declares you extrajudicially that you are basically unable to take care of yourself, that you're declared incompetent. And they use the term, this was in mainstream news, extrajudicially. And we're being told at the NICS system to not apply if you're a felon or have a restraining order. We are being told that that's one of the criteria. And it's a VA algorithm, which just means whatever they want it to be when they take the veterans' guns outside of law. Do you understand that's the next shoe to drop? They've been beta testing in upstate New York, areas of California this for about 4 years. They're doing it outside of law. And I'm getting chills right now, folks. This is pure Soviet or Nazi level crap. I mean, this is what went on in those countries. So you need to understand, folks, that they are coming. They are not playing games. And gun sales, of course, are spiking and exploding right now, as they should. But when we start the next segment, I got to hit military news first. Turkey invaded Iraq yesterday, and NATO began bombing Syrian military bases. Joe Biggs first reported that out of Syrian news. It's confirmed today. Our media plays that same game going, well, it was an accident. They're also threatening to blow up Russian ships. The president came out and gave an address yesterday in Turkey. And the Russians are responding by loading their missile launchers and artillery when they go through the straits now. And Erdogan says they're not supposed to do that, and they say we're going to do it. So it is on, folks. It is on. It is on. The globalists are moving on all fronts against everybody right now. We're going to break that down. But this is escalating super quick, super fast. And people go, they're going to try to confiscate veterans' guns. That'll cause a revolt. Oh, that's the point of rubbing our noses in all this and saying they'll arrest people if they think the speech is extreme towards Muslims. They are pushing us. And I want to say something. Do not hurt any Muslims. Most Muslims are not violent or bad people. A. B, there's due process. Do not hurt anybody. Don't play into this. Do not be part of it. They're probably going to false flag or something, but I'm telling you, this is the season of radical change, as they promised. So I'm telling you, folks, buckle in. Buckle up, because I told you that the you-know-what's going to hit the oscillating device, and it's here. It's now hitting the oscillating device. It's just going to get crazier from here on out, but everything we do is going to change the future of where this world goes. Briefly, we have free shipping running until the 18th. That's when you're still guaranteed to get any of the great products at InfoWarsStore.com before Christmas here in the United States. You order now, you can get it pretty much anywhere in the world still. But Deep Cleanse has come back in. It's been sold out for a month or so or longer. And it's the most popular product ever, but we can't keep it in stock. It would be our best seller. We've accelerated the production. We got more of it. It really is amazing with the Shilajit and with the zeolites and so many other concentrated known elements in there to really purify and cleanse out the body. It's available at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com. And that's running through this week. It's back in, and we're going to offer $5 off. We have never offered $5 off. It's normally $29.95. It's now $24.95 at InfoWarsLife.com. And finally, I'm drinking out of an InfoWars coffee cup here. Incredible organic, volcanic coffee from the mountains of Chiapas in southern Mexico that I think is the tastiest, strongest coffee out there, personally. You can buy 2 bags of InfoWars coffee at InfoWarsStore.com and get an InfoWars mug free while supplies last. Wake Up America coffee is 100% organic, non-GMO, grown without pesticides, and gourmet quality. And it supports the InfoWars. It also makes a great Christmas present. So buy 2 bags of the coffee. They're already discounted. Get a free coffee cup. Get a couple orders and give coffee cups as gifts and help send folks to InfoWars.
Did you know that when you're serving jury duty, you have complete authority over the law and the power to stop the government? That's right. As a juror, you can not only judge the defendant, but also the law he's being charged with as well. That's a little-known secret prosecutors don't want you to know. For example, let's say a man is charged with marijuana possession and you don't agree with that law. Well, as a juror, you can decline charging the man because you don't believe the law is justified. Judges and prosecutors have misled juries into believing that they should only examine the facts of the case and not the law. But the juror can actually stop the enforcement of unconstitutional unconstitutional laws in two ways. As a grand juror, you may refuse the government's request to pursue criminal charges against the accused. And as a trial juror, you can acquit the defendant who is charged with breaking an unconstitutional law. Either way, by using jury nullification, the juror has the power to say no, thus having an immediate and direct effect on our government. You can find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association, which can be found at www.fija.org. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. InfoWarsLife.com developed Silver Bullet by closely working with one of the top silver manufacturing labs in the United States. We set out to bring you the very best at the lowest price. Find out more about the proprietary development of Silver Bullet at InfoWarsLife.com. In these times, it's essential to have high-quality colloidal silver on hand. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. Well, the Attorney General has, quote, recalibrated, that means walked back, the message on, quote, hateful speech. She's now saying, no, you have speech that's hateful, even though she said if it's hateful, we're going to arrest you. But you better watch it. Remember when Obama was running for president in Missouri and Texas and other states? They had announcements in Texas, of all places, but also Vermont. A whole bunch of states saying, if you say Obama is a Muslim, if you say Obama is not going to cut taxes, you will be arrested. By the way, if you think I'm joking, go to YouTube and type in Obama Truth Squads, and you will see newscasts from Missouri, Texas, Vermont, Illinois, and other states, all the same script. District attorneys with police on TV saying, we're going to arrest you if you talk bad about Barack Obama. Now, that's who these people are. Flaming totalitarians. Dangerous. Now, obviously, most police, most district attorneys are not complete out-of-control thugs. But let me tell you, they're trying to mainline it. There it is. Obama Truth Squad responds to outraged citizens. You can actually go watch the youth brigades prepare to spy on you. Well, they had big plans for Obama, and most of it's failed. But still, what he's gotten through has been nightmarish. So you can go back to 2012, 2009, 2008. You can see the truth squads on the news. Oh, I forgot one, too. Boston, Massachusetts, going, if you claim the president wants to raise taxes or that Obamacare isn't free, you are a liar, and that's fraud, and I will arrest you. Because as the local district attorney, I investigate fraudulent claims. Well, what does that mean? You mean in advertising? And so now my speech is advertising? This is the garbage they engage in. Attorney General Loretta Lynch Monday, sounds like a country music singer, appeared to recalibrate remarks she made last week that suggested the Justice Department could investigate speech deemed hostile towards Muslims. Of course we prosecute deeds and not words, she said at a press conference Monday to announce an unrelated civil rights investigation into the Chicago Police Department. And then they go on to expand on that. No, they are telling people, we will arrest you for your speech. That's what this is all about. And they think of Christian speech as the worst thing in the universe. And we have a new clip from Melissa Harris Perry, the one that gets up there and says your kids belong to the state, where she holds up Malik, who was trained at a Pakistani Islamo-fascist school, we now know, of course, funded by the Saudi Arabians. They're building 200 of these here in the U.S. 200. Even the FBI and even British intelligence has come out, and even the Germans came out who've been putting up with all this last week and told Saudi Arabia, stop it. But see, they're having to do that on record because Americans are getting informed now about who's behind this, why this is happening. But leftist journalist, this is an Infowars.com headline. You can go to the New York Daily News and read it, though. I mean, she really did it. Victim of San Bernardino shooting deserved it because he was conservative. How do you pronounce that fellow's name? Thalassinos was also a hate-filled bigot, close quote. I didn't say that. So Christians, a Messianic Jew, multiple Christians were hunted down and killed because they were Christians. They were two hate-filled, bigoted municipal employees interacting in one department, she wrote. Now 13 innocent people are dead, the unspeakable carnage. Stasi, that's her name, phrasing is revealing. She refuses to include the Christian among the innocent and instead places him among the guilty alongside Farouk and Malik, indicating Wednesday's shooting was his fault. And we have links to the news saying Christmas tree might have triggered it. Don't you just love it? How sick these people are. Here's Melissa Paris Harry. Remember they talked about Paul Ryan being a hard worker to basically open the borders up and set up a North American Union and let anybody in? Because he basically might as well be the leader of La Raza or Mecha or something, which it's all run by big corporations to begin with. She stopped the pundit and said, oh, the only hard workers are black people from slavery. See, with that trump card, all time, all dimensions, all history, doesn't matter if you're a white Polish person or Japanese or a black from South Africa, you can be looked at and told, your work never matters, black slaves. We're going to play that clip in a moment in case you think I'm making it up, because I know it sounds crazy. This is where all information comes from that perspective, to just checkmate everybody else. You don't know reading, writing, arithmetic. You don't know social skills. You don't know how to get a job. You just learn how to ninny and obsess over brown paper bags you see, or a car drove by with a rebel flag, so you urinate all over yourself in fear. Or there's going to be a Halloween party at the college, and so you scream to your professor, no, get out, shut up, ban it. And then the dean of Yale says, absolutely, we may fire these people. We've never heard of such evil. The young woman's like, please, please, ban it. I'm scared. This is the culture. And here is one of the new rulers of the mentally ill, one of the rulers of the disabled psychologically, one of the new shamanical princesses over the throngs, a university professor, a former top university official. She's running on the whole MSNBC crowd of mental midgets, the same program they run on these desperate, scared, in-debt kids that show up, want to be cool, and they go, we got graduate students over with free dinner and beer tonight. Come join the reading. Hey, you like Mao Zedong? We're going to fight the whites. Well, you're white. Doesn't matter. Nothing worse than a white. You're not white. Don't you join them? I mean, this is literally how they operate. You're like, all right, I just wanted to go to school and be friends with everybody. Well, you're going to learn about how the racists want to rape you, too. Okay? Because all sex is rape. Okay, and you can't be a geisha girl or a cowboy or a Native American because it hurts people's feelings, all right? Now let's go outside and scream in fear. Somebody wrote a poop swastika on the wall. Okay, I will. I'm paying $40,000 a year for a worthless education. I will. They want you so scramble-brained you don't get upset over the big debt bubble and the college scam. So here's Melissa Harris Perry pimping everybody. Then I got to get into the latest news. But here she is going, look at this. They're showing the face of jihad as a woman. It's so horrible. Well, that is the face of it, lady. They have a report coming up, Rob Dew's putting together, where we show Obama over and over again. It's going to be in the next hour, saying, now Republicans are scared of women and children and widows. And then, yeah, they're blowing everybody up, shooting everybody, and running around murdering people. And the point is, in the aggregate, it's still a small effect, and I don't think it is even a large minority of Muslims. The issue is you're going to take our rights and our guns, leave the border open, and surveil what citizens do. It's all a fraud. That's what we're saying. That's what's going on. And you bring in millions of people from jihad zones who invaded Syria to take over a wealthy, prosperous nation. Let me tell you, these Sunnis came in, folks, and took people's houses, their swimming pools, their businesses, their 1,000-year-old farms, Christians and non-radical Muslims, and blew their heads off. They even came to other Sunnis that had money and robbed them. And now the Russians have kicked them out of most areas, so they're going to Libya, and they're going to other areas and getting out into Europe. They're going through Turkey. And they're coming here, and then the guy's complaining about Christians and Jews at work. He's from America. She goes, listen, we're going to lead an attack and kill all of them. And Melissa Harris Perry can't allow that because the only villain is white people in her Ford Foundation program. And by the way, she doesn't hate white people. She's rich and lives with a bunch of white people. She's half white. She's just there to game everybody and keep them on the plantation. She is a slave master, a modern psychological colonist of people's brains to screw them up. Let's go to this operative, literally schooled in psych warfare, 100%. I'm not just saying that for rhetoric, folks. She's trained, okay, how to jack people's brains. Here she is.
And then all of a sudden we find out they're Muslim, bam, gun violence is out of the question. We start talking about terrorism, and I'm extremely disturbed. I mean, I looked at the New York Times cover today. Here you have a whole op-ed on gun control. Great. Right next to it is pictures from the apartment of things that I have in my house.
Yes.
Like, these are things that all Muslims have in their house. There's nothing about that tells you a story about what terrorism looks like. So you're telling me that when my friends who are not Muslim come into my home and see a Quran or see frames on the wall with a scripture from my religion, is that supposed to tell you something? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. We would never do that to anyone, and we didn't do that to Deer. We didn't do that to Roof. I'm tired of the double standards of how we treat Muslims. I mean, they are the perpetrators.
That image, and then also right next to it, an image of the shooting suspect there in hijab, and that idea that, like, okay, this is what terrorism looks like. For me, that is a difference, and it is a material and meaningful difference.
All right, why doesn't Melissa Harris Perry wear a headdress? If you went to one of those countries, you'd have to. And our government's backing the groups that go to these countries and make people wear these headdresses. So I got a woman with a headdress on lobbying that no one blamed white people for Roof. They blamed everybody. They took down the Confederate battle flag in 3 state houses. Everyone apologized for basically being white. Did the black people apologize when a crazy black guy went and shot people, a few weeks later because they were white? No, and black people shouldn't apologize. You didn't do that. That individual did that. Oh, no one showed his home. No one showed where Roof lived. No one, of course they did. So this is how these people operate. Meanwhile, we've got Obama in his presidential address last night saying they're going to end judicial due process, 1215, Magna Carta, Battle of Runnymede. Forget Constitution, Bill of Rights. It's all based on that. Runnymede, 1215. Why? Who could disagree if somebody is on a terrorist no-fly list that you could buy a gun? No one could disagree with extrajudicial no-fly list that millions of innocent Americans are on. No judge, no jury, no background, can't get off it, don't know how you got on it. This is the NDAA. This is all of it just disappearing who they want. The IRS not letting you fly or travel or drive a car or get a driver's license they're talking about under federalization of the National ID card, the Real ID Act. Now the feds used to say no highway funds if your speed limit's over 55. Now it's, we're going to selectively say who can have a driver's license now if the IRS doesn't like you. Ron Paul's written an article about that today. You like extrajudicial? The IRS that persecutes anybody right of Mao Zedong? You want to live in a tyranny? Folks, it doesn't get more brazen, more arrogant, more naked, more complete, more in-your-face, giant red flags, explosions, and balloons going up. They're not going to let you fly. They're not going to let you drive. And by the way, you know how I know all this? I don't just need to read Ron Paul's op-ed about it that just gives you pieces of it. And I'm not blaming him. He just gives you pieces of it. I watched a 2-hour C-SPAN deal in 2002 when they were giving cabinet-level authority to the Department of Homeland Security that Bill Clinton had proposed 6 years earlier. And I watched them lay out the whole plan. You won't fly, you won't drive, you won't have a job unless the TSA authorizes it. And I told you the TSA would be on the streets, they'd be at train stations, they'd be at checkpoints, and now they're rolling out everywhere. I'm talking to folks in the middle of nowhere in small towns in Texas that drive up to an armored vehicle with TSA guys. And by the way, this isn't the folks at the airport to get you used to it. That was just clown training. These are guys with M4s with the Transportation Department. And let me tell you, they're trained to go after patriots and veterans. Do you understand? This isn't a game, people. 99% of what I tell you is already on record. I didn't have to dream up they'd do this and then it started happening. They told us! Do you understand? They're coming for Christians and conservatives and veterans, and they go on the news and say that Jews and Christians deserve to have their heads blown off in California in major newspapers, and the editors let them print that. I'm not saying censor them. I'm saying, does that show the mindset behind the scenes, folks? I'm telling you, the average liberal is a fascist death cult operator who wants to kill libertarians, Christians, and conservatives, and quite frankly, I used to be kind of in between on Israel because Israel does some bad stuff. And I don't like pure Israel worshipers, but let me tell you something. The Jew-hating, the Israel-hating, all of it is just over the top as well. I mean, it is just crazy. And I'm just listing who is slated for destruction. And they just put the police in there as well because they want to wreck the local governments and have the feds come in. Let's go to Obama with extrajudicially taking your guns. Here it is.
There are several steps that Congress should take right away. To begin with, Congress should act to make sure no one on a no-fly list is able to buy a gun. What could possibly be the argument for allowing a terrorist suspect to buy a semi-automatic weapon?
Back that up. Back that up. What could be the constitutional argument against it from a constitutional lawyer from Harvard who was the head of the Harvard Law Review? What a sick joke he sits there and preys on his idiot followers. Think about it. And then they put radical Muslims up on TV to lecture hardcore super feminists that basically say all men are rapists and evil. And then she sits there with a woman who's wearing a hood on her head. But she's going to lecture us about how our kids don't belong to us. Do you realize what degenerate, cultural oxymorons these people are? These are power grabbers. These are people who just want to lecture us all day and tell us how to live and guilt us. Well, I'm not guilty, you fascist, evil slug, Obama. Your family out of Kenya funding and literally running jihad operations all over the Middle East and Africa. I'll give Obama this. He's bold. I could never have imagined an Islamic radical sleeper cell becoming president. I mean, I can't believe the CIA did this. I can't believe our governments did this. But after all, that's how much they hate America and Christians and guns and George Washington, baby. Well, you know what? I'm betting on George Washington and John Wayne all the way. And all you scum can go to hell. I'm never backing down. We're going to beat your ass. You just get that through your stinking traitorous heads. Excuse me, I apologize. We have a lot of Christian affiliates. I am a Christian, but I'm not a fake either, and I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murdering scum that run giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green-looking skin, or they're black or white, doesn't matter, and they run around screaming, "We love Satan, we want to eat babies." I have them on video. at the Texas State House, just women randomly going, "Hail Satan," and just praising Satan when a Democrat group went up there. I mean, folks, this is literally like a demonic invasion. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And these demons will definitely side with any other radical group they can to bring this country down. I'm sorry. Just go back to the president with a straight face going, who could be against a terrorist suspect? If someone's a terrorist suspect, you need to arrest them. But you don't ever actually do that. The TSA hasn't stopped one terrorist. They're not meant to. They're there to train you for domestic checkpoints and domestic travel restrictions like you have in science fiction movies like The Running Man or 1984 or what really happened in communist China, Russia, Nazi Germany, and every other hell pit. They are bringing us into bondage with huge chains forged for us and our children, smiling at us. This is the takedown of America you're beginning to see the beginning of. With every police department trained and ready for war with the veterans and the patriots. But here's the good news. You think it woke the police departments up much? When we warned them beforehand, they laughed at us. Then they actually got the training where the founding fathers are bad-mouthed, where guns are bad-mouthed, where families are bad-mouthed, and now the final straw. George Soros' people come into every major city with the Southern Poverty Law Center and ADL and are running the police training. And are openly saying, you're going to have community organizers in here running things, and here's your new captain, and they bring in known Maoists and others right out of the universities with their new law enforcement degrees. I mean, you talk about dangerous and sick. And they're putting the military full of all these people. And again, it's not a communist conspiracy at the top, but they use university communists as their operatives. Then once they've got the police department, they can start harassing the city council and others in the town and intimidate everyone into politically doing what they want. And now you're under a literal Stasi control grid that they've almost got in place. Now you understand why the peril is so great and why I'm so freaked out, because everything, the worst analysis we had, it's worse than that. They are going for broke. This is it. God help us. You know they're going to blow stuff up and blame it on us. That's their next big card to play. There's going to be more jihad attacks. They'll probably run a false flag on some jihad center and blame patriots. This is a time bomb. Excuse me. Go back to Obama, please. This is Obama coming after the guns extrajudicially. Here it is.
There are several steps that Congress should take right away. To begin with, Congress should act to make sure no one on a no-fly list is able to buy a gun. What could possibly be the argument for allowing a terrorist suspect to buy a semi-automatic weapon? This is a matter of national security. We also need to make it harder for people to buy powerful assault weapons.
They bought the guns
like the
legally.
ones that were used in San Bernardino.
They bought them legally.
I know there are some who reject any gun safety measures, but the fact is that our intelligence and law enforcement agencies, no matter how effective they are, cannot identify every would-be mass shooter.
Like the 300,000 you killed in Syria with these people?
Motivated by ISIL or some other hateful ideology.
Some other hateful ideology. Oh, just like you just bombed the Syrian troops fighting them yesterday, and Turkey just invaded Iraq to slaughter a bunch of people fighting ISIS to protect ISIS? And the Russians have presented all the evidence that not just Turkey, but Western firms are buying the oil from ISIS. Oh, but there's sanctions on Russian oil I'm going to get to next hour. That's okay, but not on the ISIS oil. And look, I'm risking my life exposing these people. I'll just be point blank with you. There's a reason, though, this show is exploding. We do YouTube and Facebook mentions now that used to get a couple 100,000 views, which is still incredible. They get like 900,000, 1.1 million, 1.2 million. I had like 1.5 million Facebook views yesterday on 2 videos I shot. So the president does these things now. His average YouTube video gets like 5,000 views. So just know this, almost no one buys what these criminals are saying. But we have Rahm Emanuel from way back at the beginning running around openly saying we will get their guns one way or another. We will put them on a no-fly list and then take their guns that way. This is how they operate. This is how they get their job done. And so you need to understand, it's not just Alex Jones out here fighting these people. There are a lot of other folks fighting them as well. But the fact that our audience, let's not exaggerate, has doubled the last 3-4 months, and now it's starting to exponentially increase. If they're ever going to come after me, it's probably right now, because we're just turbo exploding. Hey, but blow me up, baby. You'll just light fires even bigger. I know what waters these trees. And if I can be smart enough like Obi-Wan Kenobi not to strike any of you down and let you just cut me down right in front of everybody, you know what'll come out of that. Because all I want is to beat you. I'm not afraid one bit of dying or being thrown in your dungeons, because I'm not a coward like you. I don't come from bottom-feeding trash like you. I'm not afraid. All I'm afraid of is failing. All I'm afraid of is bowing down to you murdering trash. All I got to think about is those hundreds of thousands of Christians that you raped and murdered with the jihad armies they put into Syria to slaughter that peaceful country and overturn it where people lived in peace. All I think about is what type of government do we have that engages in these forms of incredible evil? You baby harvesting demon maggots. I'll never back down. I'll never bow to you. I'll be free till the day I stop sucking air into my lungs. And all the ideas I put out and all the freedom and all the Americana I've spewed out against you will never die. It'll never stop, and you know it. I told the globalists a long time ago, and I meant it. You want to fight, you better believe you've got one. And there are people all over this country engaging in the information war, and we're going to smash your system. We're going to return the republic. We'll never be perfect, but my God, we're not going to keep babies alive and harvest their organs. We're not going to sell their parts for women's cosmetics. We're not going to have Pepsi with baby flavoring in it. I mean, what the hell have we become? Excuse me, but I'm tired of it. I haven't gotten to any of the world news yet or any of the other craziness. I can't believe they're in newspapers all over saying the Christians and the Jews deserve to die. I mean, these aren't liberals, folks. These are freakazoid scum. I'm telling you. They are scum. They are dangerous. They are devils. Stay with us. A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigyrex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139. The Attorney General, Lynch, has come out and, said if you speak bad about radical Islam or whatever, or something you say is incendiary and might lead to violence, we're going to arrest you. He said to back off that because that violates the First Amendment. You can say things that people could interpret as hateful or mean and that might cause somebody to be violent. You just can't have a call to action and say, we should go out and do ABC. I'm not even going to say it because they'll take it out of context and claim I said it. The last thing I want is people to go out and randomly attack Muslims or anybody else. Usually the idiots that do that go into a liquor store or a gas station and shoot a Sikh, which actually have huge wars with the Islamists for hundreds of years in India and are a big part of the British military because of that. But people see a guy wearing a big purple or pink turban, and they think, hey, newsflash, it's like the idiot that went and shot up the Sikh temple and killed a bunch of people. Remember that a few years ago? Because he thought it was Muslims. Only an idiot. I mean, what type of idiot goes to kill people and doesn't even get the right group? Well, the type of folks, in fact, I've actually known people who get so upset by 9/11 and things. I know one guy who got upset emotionally. He wasn't even a stupid guy, and he went and beat up one of these people at a gas station and got arrested for it. So, absolutely, people should not attack anybody for what color they are or what religion. And it is true. Most Muslims just want to live their life and be left alone. Most Muslim women don't want to wear hoods over their heads. Their husbands don't either. They want to come here to get away from that. But our government's been backing radical Islam all over the world that's going around taking Islam over and radicalizing it. And Lord Monckton is an expert on Islam. And I've done a lot of research, too, and he's right. There was about a 400-year period where the West was in the Dark Age, and they were not doing all this persecution, and it actually helped contribute to the Renaissance. So it really is true that Islam has not been as radical as it is now before. It's had expansionist periods, it's had very radical periods, it's had periods that weren't. Right now, because the population is exploding, because of the Saudis being the main force behind Islam now, it's bad news, folks, in the mainstay. And by the way, that's not anti-Islamic or anti-Arab, because that's where that centers. You know, Islam's all over the world, one of the biggest religions there is, probably the biggest. The bad news is for other Muslims and other Arabs and other people in those areas, because that's who they kill. 9 out of 10 people or more killed by radical Islamists are Muslims. Look it up. 98+%, it varies depending on what attacks there have been, but 98% of terrorism worldwide is Islamic. And Melissa Harris Perry gets up there on television and says, don't show her in her hood, don't show her in her hijab or whatever it's called, the burqa, because this is stereotypical. No, lady, that's what they wear. I mean, you got some of the Orthodox Jews cover up their faces. And I get also that even in the times of, Maid Marian and the, 1,000 years ago in Robin Hood, that women wore that. And you know why they wore it? Because the upper classes had whiter skin. What does Schwarzenegger mean? It just means black plowman, because if you came from the lower classes, you had tan skin because you worked in the fields. And it was an elitism to wear all over the world, Japan to the Middle East to wherever, the same cultures, same ideas. Women wore gloves and high heel shoes, meaning they didn't have to work. Sometimes they grew their fingernails a foot long. It's ridiculous. And we see expressions of that today. And women wore even their faces covered up when they went out to ride in a carriage or whatever, because there was so much manure and stench and people dumping their bathroom products out their windows. And so, yes, women wore cloaks and covered themselves up the richer you were, because you didn't want to be around the profane. So, yeah, if some Muslim princess went out 500 years ago, you bet she covered up. She didn't want to be out there in all the flies. Then it became stylish. Then everyone made their women do it, and it's a style oppression.
Hillary Clinton wants to censor people who make fun of her. She was recently trying to censor comedy skits that poked fun at her, which were produced by the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, California. The owner of the Laugh Factory, Jamie Masada, told Judicial Watch that her campaign threatened to put him out of business if he didn't pull the videos. So in response to this attack on free speech, Infowars.com has launched the Make Fun of Hillary Defend the First Amendment contest with a first-place cash prize of $5,000. We want the funniest, most outrageous satire and comedy videos guaranteed to make Hillary's blood boil. To enter, read the contest rules at Infowars.com/contest and then shoot a comedy or satire video making fun of Hillary Clinton. All entries must be uploaded to YouTube and a link emailed to hillarycontest@infowars.com. Enter your video before the contest deadline at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. Once again, the contest rules and information can be found at Infowars.com/contest. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com. We look forward to your video making fun of Hillary Clinton.
Candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. We have been fighting this war tirelessly with you at our side, day in and day out, exposing the ludicrous lies and criminal operations of the globalists, and we're starting to see big effects. And the word is getting out. The globalists want to make us dependent. And as Napoleon famously said, an army marches on its stomach. Ammunition, food, and supplies form the backbone of any offensive, including the info war. And our enemies admit they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
With this in mind, we have held strong to our principles and the decision to refuse any money from globalists or government. We are funding our crusade against tyranny the old-fashioned way, with pure free market, free will capitalism. Visit InfoWarsStore.com today or call 888-253-3139 and take advantage of free shipping right through December 18th and get your order before Christmas. May God bless you and your family and keep us strong as we forge ahead in this battle for humanity. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, this is the takeover of the West. This is the end of human liberty as we know it and the birth of planetary world government being ratified and openly announced and declared as we speak in Paris, France. Lord Monckton will join us from Paris, France, coming up on Wednesday. We have other reporters there as well from the New American Magazine and others that will also be joining us. Let me do this now. Let me try to cover as much of the news. I've mentioned a lot of it, but I want to really drill into the news. Big news is up on drugsreport.com. Hillary demands tech stop ISIS. She also says she wants to stop banker bailouts that she helped orchestrate. And, of course, you need to understand, even the New York Times admits that it lets Facebook, Twitter, and others restrict speech that could be deemed as, quote, hurtful or that disagrees. And Paul wrote about this a month ago. We got the notice that if any of our speech disagrees with anyone, it actually says disagrees, that you may be suspended or kicked off Facebook. And it's really kind of oxymoronic because here we are on Facebook that we never really used until recently. And I did 2 videos yesterday that have almost 2 million views combined. At my house and at work, just flip on a camera, talk for 10 minutes, 1 million people watch it. Think about that. One video had 251,000 on it. Another had 877,000. That was last week. If you go back, there was another one I shot yesterday. You add them all together. Look at that one from Friday, 1,190,000. Do you think Hillary Clinton likes that when she gets up before Congress and says we're losing the info war? Wonder who they're talking about. And I only bring this up because as the enemy rolls out its plan, the credibility of a Matt Drudge, and Alex Jones, and Joseph Farah is only going to intensify. Take somebody like Tucker Carlson, a libertarian. He's on Wednesday with us for an hour. Started a lot of big media operations. His dad was with Voice of America. And I've hung out with him privately and stuff. And, you know, obviously he now knows the season is here where he can get away with being more libertarian, more anti-New World Order, because more of it's out in the open. And the fact that he can go further now shows how much of the info war we're winning. The fact that Donald Trump can come on this show and sound like yours truly, or vice versa. The fact that he would come on this show knowing he'll be demonized for it. I mean, I'm not going to toot my horn here, but Donald Trump's plugged InfoWars 5 or 6 times the last year, and I've talked to his people and him and others, and, you know, obviously, to anybody watching, they're listeners. I'll just leave it at that. So many times we call up to get a congressman or woman on, and they go, oh, yeah, I was listening to your show yesterday, or I was listening today, I'd love to come on, or, listen, I'm a big listener, but my constituency isn't ready for this, so I can't come on. But, by the way, here's some really good intel on a bill that's going to be introduced next week. We have congressmen and women's offices sending us tips, sending us intel, but they won't come on. Committee chairman, you name it. But see, Dr. Steve Pieczenik called up this weekend. He wants to come on. I'm glad to have him on. One of the founders of Delta Force, one of the heads of the founder of the hostage rescue teams, ran some of the biggest hostage rescue operations, also ran psychological warfare for the State Department and directed the CIA with some of their policies, ran the Camp David Accords, you name it. I mean, he is a big fish in all of that. But this is a world now where folks don't know who Chuck Yeager is. And he said, no, this is a major breaking point. Just like the bin Laden raid being fake and the SEALs going public, them having to kill a bunch of them, just like the other bellwether events, the Piers Morgan event, he said Trump coming on signifies the death of the mainstream media and that you are now the new media. And we're not bragging about InfoWars. What we're saying is the enemy is in trouble. The usurpers, the occupiers, the interlopers, those that have come in. So Hillary's in the New York Times. Hillary demands tech stop ISIS. They let ISIS recruit. They let them flying out of the U.S. It was a project of Saudi Arabia, NATO, the United States, Turkey, France, the UK, Israel, Pakistan. She says you're going to hear all the familiar complaints. That's a quote of freedom of speech. Ms. Clinton said in an hour-long speech in a questions and answer session at the Sabian Forum, an annual gathering of Brookings institutions that focuses mostly on Israel's security issues. She's there at a powerful Israeli forum, basically, trying to get the Israel lobby to jump on board to restrict free speech on the internet. And we've got Zuckerberg running around meeting with the communist Chinese leaders 4 or 5 months ago in the U.S. on how to censor the internet and admitting it. People go, well, that's an oxymoron. Why would you be on Facebook with 3 million likes between all our channels? One of them has about 1 million. And how would you be reaching 1 million people or more a day just with videos? Well, the point is they've got to get all this lined up and legally put in place first before they do it, because it's a big deal. But little sites are getting knocked off all the time because they don't have the power to expose it or have a lawsuit over it. Because, see, you can argue all day long that, oh, Facebook belongs to Facebook. Well, that'd be like if you advertised certain prices at a grocery store, but when somebody else showed up, you said, oh, well, that label doesn't mean for you. That milk's not $3 a gallon. It's $15 a gallon for you. You see, you can't advertise it as a free open forum and then have InfoWars bring you millions and millions of people and vice versa in this public commons and then turn around and censor what we're doing. So that's the battle that's taking place right now on Facebook. People ask, well, why are you on Facebook? I'm on Facebook because we're using that platform to reach new audiences and then bring them to InfoWars, bring them to the Nightly News, bring them to our own servers, bring them to our own platforms that are our main base, our main fortress. But then without that, we have another ring and then another ring and another ring and all sorts of different media operations, because from day one, I've dealt with censorship and hack attacks and moves to shut us down and shut us up. And it's not that I was ever some super genius when it came to all this. I experienced it. Like, why do I have my own comment system so that when people make death threats, the police show up here, I'll just use a third party and then it's their problem? You know, it's been trial and error. But now in the info war, we have some of the best ideas, some of the most accurate information, and some of the best delivery systems outside of the enemy operation there are. But we still engage the enemy via their platforms. And when I use words like enemy, folks, let me tell you, they're the enemy of your due process, of your wealth, of your private property, of your children, of your health, of your sanity, of your future. You want to be usurped, 21st century style? You want to be overwritten in an info war? You're experiencing it. So they're declaring absolute war on the internet and claiming it's to fight ISIS, which they incubated, they created. And now they want to take your liberties, they want to take your free speech, they want to take your guns, they want to take your right to travel in the name of countering people who they let fly in with fake names and fake passport. Speaking of a double standard, let's look at this little stack of news right here. Falling oil prices. Who are the winners and losers? We told you this 3 years ago. BBC now breaks it down. Saudi Arabia admits that they are bankrupting everyone else by having oil so low. And as soon as the U.S. is bankrupt and Russia is bankrupt, they actually say it at OPEC. This is public. That after U.S. producers are bankrupt and after Russia's bankrupt, losing literally hundreds of billions of dollars a week, the Saudis are selling oil at lower than it costs to produce it. And once they're done, then they'll jack up prices 5-10 times what they used to be. That's what Walmart does. They come in and have 5 or 6 producers. They pay them a year contract to produce eggs at a glut to drive down prices. Then they know the people can't produce anymore. When they lower what they'll pay them, most of them go bankrupt, and they have one company to deal with. These are just tactics that aren't free market, folks, that are monopolistic. Clear Channel would come into a town for 5 years and sell advertising at 1/10 what it should be until everybody else went bankrupt. Then they jack up the prices to the rooftops. That's just a tactic, folks. And you need to be aware of these tactics. And I'm not demonizing Clear Channel. That's what media companies do. But the public is so childlike. We'd talked 3 years ago about them lowering oil prices to bankrupt U.S. oil production, Canadian oil production, and others. Shut up, conspiracy theorists. There's nothing in Saudi Arabia. No one has any power but Jews. Literally. Hey, Saudi Arabia is bankrupting the oil industry. Shut up and stop making apologies for the Jews. All these mentally ill Jew-obsessed people. It's comical. It wasn't so serious. And they give up their own free will. People that think it's the Catholics or the Jews or any one group. They don't have any power. The reason you're not successful is because of the Jews. And the reason I'm successful is not because I'm hardworking and intelligent and a good orator and a good manager and all the rest of it. It's because of the Jews. Always the same moronic idiocy. It's like saying the Muslims when there's like 10 different groups. I know who the bad group is. It's the Wahhabist. It's the Saudi Arabian scum government. That's who it is. And then there's other criminal groups, and I go after all of them. But falling oil prices, who are the winners and losers, goes over it. Meanwhile, they're continuing massive sanctions against Russia to bankrupt them and admitting it, but not ISIS.
The following is an important holiday inventory announcement from IDStronghold.com.
As many of you have come to know, IDStronghold.com is the #1 name in quality RFID blocking wallets that actually do as they say and prevent electronic pickpocketing of the new RFID chips found in credit cards, room keys, subway passes, and more. Last year, due to the extreme popularity of giving ID Stronghold wallets and clutches as unique gifts at Christmas time, we ran out of our most popular styles and colors early. The good news is, we now have our holiday inventory ready for same-day shipping. We have added many more designs of beautiful leather wallets and clutches, all with state-of-the-art built-in electronic pickpocket shielding from the most respected name in RFID protection, IDStronghold.com. Don't wait and limit your choices of these great gifts. We are expecting another sellout season. These wallets aren't available in stores, so visit IDStronghold.com today. That's IDStronghold.com.
The lining of your lungs is supposed to be protected with glutathione to neutralize incoming irritants. In the absence of enough glutathione, your lungs are more prone to irritation. Listen to the real-world results of one man using a powerful glutathione-supporting food.
Hi, my name is Bill O'Brien. I generally suffer through an asthmatic breathing type situation. My breathing is shallow and generally constricted in the nose and lungs. After consuming One World Whey today, I have tremendous energy and also notice my breathing is free. I can feel the air in my left nostril and it is free all the way to my abdomen, which is pretty remarkable because I rarely get that feeling. Being a singer, I love feeling this unrestricted voice. The only thing new I've actually added to my routine is One World Whey. Wow.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
What looks good under your Christmas tree and tastes even better? Big Berkey water filters. Yes, the gift of clean water. A gift that provides a great foundation for achieving good health in the lives of your loved ones. A Big Berkey water filter gives them protection from bacteria, heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, pesticides and herbicides, VOCs and more. And best of all, a Big Berkey water filter is a gift that lasts for many years with no additional investment. And that saves time and money in filter replacements that other water filters require and are even powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water. As always, all orders over $50 are shipped free, and GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Order online at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com, spelled Big, B-E-R-K-E-Y, waterfilters.com, or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Gift well this Christmas. Give a Big Berkey water filter.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
Are you looking to sell body armor? Want to make extra money selling body armor at your local gun shows? With low minimum buys and great returns, Katie Armor is the answer. Make money in your spare time. It's American-made body armor with the quickest turnaround in the industry, which means you get your product when you need it at very competitive rates. And they'll ship it to you for free. If you own a business, give them a call today at 855-488-KATIE. That's 855-488-2284. Or go to katiearmor.com. Come and take it.
Every move you make, every breath you take, the globalists will be watching you, but not the terrorists who they let into the country. Now they need to censor the internet and free speech to keep you safe. And the Attorney General comes out and says, watch what you say, we might arrest you. But notice there was a big backlash, and now she's had to back off, at least for now. But how dare them blame our Second Amendment and our free speech for what radical, incompatible people coming to this country are doing. They won't let Wahhabists into Iran because they know they start killing people. They wouldn't let them into Syria because they start killing people. But they let them in here, folks, from jihad training camps. By the way, Nico was just in here during the break. He goes, Alex, when you plug, and it's about to sell out, by the way, in the next couple of days, the InfoWars Premium Power Pack, I keep saying it's a third the size of a small briefcase. He goes, yeah, that's true, Alex, but the actual battery itself with the jumper cables and all the different plugs and power outlets and every other converter you can imagine. I mean, this is just such an amazing unit, is the smaller than an average hard drive. What, it's about 5.5 inches long, about 3 inches wide. It's just crazy. It's got a 15-volt 1A input, output, 5.07, 2.1A, and a whole bunch of others, USB, you name it. It's got engine start connection. It's got the powerful torch flashlight, $119. The same unit's $150 or more. We private labeled it, so we're able to get around the contractual rules to not be able to sell it for less than $140-something. $119.95. And quite frankly, we sell more of these since we have the lowest price. I don't get why people just don't lower prices. It's kind of a moronic greediness out there, as we still, make like 30, 40 bucks on these. And it helps fund the info war. But that will sell out. We will be ordering more of these. It's a big hit. Every house, every car really should have one. I know my truck and my car certainly do. Lastly, Deep Cleanse. We've had it 3 times, and it's sold out every time. And if we could keep enough of it in stock, it would be our best-selling product. And it's because folks that are into vitamins and minerals and stuff know how good it is. For the first time ever, we're discounting it $5. So instead of $29.95, it's $24.95. And it's got 5-star reviews. It's got Shilajit in it. It's got a whole bunch of other key things like zeolites. It's organic Shilajit and a bunch of other compounds. Amazing detoxer. Works for me and my family like a charm. And the nutraceutical heads out there that are really the experts, go to the third-party sites, read the reviews. They just drool over the products. Well, of course they do. We go out and get the game changers because we want to have the best, because we want it to really work, because we want to fund the info war and smash the globalists or die trying. I just don't get the world's view of, like, not giving people the best deal, not finding the best products, not wanting to treat people like you want to be treated. People keep asking why we're so successful. Because we're crazed. That's why. We're not slaves. We're awake. We're conscious. We treat people like we want to be treated. And that's how you're treating us, and God bless you. We're able to fund the info war. We're able to hire some more reporters soon, put more folks in the field, all because of your support buying the products at InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Now, coming up, we've got Trump accuses the media of glamorizing terrorists. That's what they're doing. See, I saw them glamorizing ISIS and Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra the last 5 years, and I was the first to say it. I'm not bragging. I just don't. I said, this is real. We're going to be attacked. We're going to have asymmetrical attacks on government buildings, shopping malls, military bases, community centers, theaters. You're seeing it all. And I believe, here's the most important thing I'm going to cover when we come back. And I meant to say this at the very start of the show, but I didn't. If you analyze Obama's speech, it tells you a lot. Not just they're going after people's freedoms to travel, to own guns, extrajudicially. Just, again, incredible announcements. Every law journal should be just freaking out right now. This was a declaration of war against the Magna Carta, Declaration of Independence, Constitution, Bill of Rights, respectively, in order of their production. The gun grab, all of that is a side issue compared to the fact, though, that in the main, he had to admit Major Hassan was a terrorist. 6 years later at Fort Hood, he had to admit a bunch of other stuff was terrorism because they know it's hurting them too bad, saying it isn't terror, and that blew up in their face, showing they have no credibility. But what's even bigger than that? He's getting everybody ready for terror attacks. They have created such a giant, multi-100,000 person system, and ISIS caught on a little too good for him. It was meant to sweep the Middle East and Africa for Saudi Arabia. Now it's spilling over here. They may not be able to stop the attacks, folks. And they're getting ready for this. Or they may be behind them. We're going to talk to a spy on the other side, Dr. Steve Pieczenik, straight ahead and get his take on all this and more. I'm Alex Jones.
Did you know that when you're serving jury duty, you have complete authority over the law and the power to stop the government? That's right. As a juror, you can not only judge the defendant, but also the law he's being charged with as well. And that's a little-known secret prosecutors don't want you to know. For example, let's say a man is charged with marijuana possession and you don't agree with that law. Well, as a juror, you can decline charging the man because you don't believe the law is justified. Judges and prosecutors have misled juries into believing that they should only examine the facts of the case and not the law. But the juror can actually stop the enforcement of unconstitutional laws in two ways. As a grand juror, you may refuse the government's request to pursue criminal charges against the accused. And as a trial juror, you can acquit the defendant who is charged with breaking an unconstitutional law. Either way, by using jury nullification, the juror has the power to say no, thus having an immediate and direct effect on our government. You can find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association, which can be found at www.fija.org. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more focused, less brain fog, more energy, and it's because of Brain Force.
There's always hidden additives in your food. Even organic food has hidden additives. Staring at the computer all day, working, doing good, you're still damaging your brain. Ultimately, we've all been dumbed down to some degree.
It doesn't have stimulants. It doesn't have garbage in it. It has natural things that do it clean. You will find Brain Force and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. My fellow patriots, one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that the InfoWars operation reaches more than 20 million people a week worldwide with the message of liberty, and none of it is funded by major global corporations or by taxpayers. It's funded by free will, listeners and viewers like you who decide to visit InfoWarsStore.com and take advantage of some of the most high-quality, revolutionary products available today. And now, until December 18th, 2015, we are extending free shipping on top of huge discounts on cutting-edge nutraceuticals, high-quality non-GMO heirloom seeds, top-of-the-line water filtration systems that remove glyphosates, fluoride, and more. And the list of specials goes on and on. Some discounts are as high as 50% at InfoWarsStore.com on top of free shipping through December 18th at InfoWars Store and InfoWarsLife.com. And remember, InfoWars is the operation that you built. And I am Alex Jones, your host. If you just tuned in for the first time, as a libertarian broadcast, it is naked that we have a corrupt, out-of-control elite that is waging war against the very free market system that made this country so great. And we've got Melissa Harris Perry on TV saying, don't show this Malik lady in her hijab or hood on her head because, you know, it stereotypes Muslims. Well, I mean, 99%, 98%, depending on the year, of terrorism is Islamic. And the biggest victim of radical Islamic garbage are Muslims in the Middle East. And so now we see Turkey running into Iraq and attacking Iraqi forces that were about to take out an ISIS stronghold. You've got NATO bombing a military base, a Syrian military base. That's in the Associated Press. You've got Turkey yesterday threatening to blow up Russian ships in the Mediterranean. And Erdogan saying if we see any of your weapons pointed at us, we're going to attack, shooting down the Russian plane, blowing up the rescue helicopter. They're really mad that the Russians have exposed, it's not hundreds of millions, it's now billions in oil being trucked in. They're now destroying that. Our own military, and we've had Colonel Schaefer and countless others on, told us 2-3 years ago that our military was overthrowing Assad and putting Saudi Arabia and al-Qaeda forces in. And so now you've kind of got the State Department and the CIA and the Turks and others and the Saudis trying to still win this battle of five armies. That's what it is, not using a Tolkien term for no reason. There's like 5 factions at least running around in just an insane asylum quagmire. And our government initiating this 5 years ago in this whole leftist organized Arab Spring, where they then put radical Wahhabists in charge. And then we have liberal feminists, saying how wonderful the headdresses are and how maybe we should adopt it, a sickening liberal fetish with fascist radical Islam. So you've got all that happening. And everybody knows I exposed the Gulf Wars and all of it as frauds and synthetic made-up terror. I started seeing in the last few years, though, this whole Islamic State thing and more, really being allowed to recruit, being allowed to build up, being funded by Saudi Arabia. We and others exposed it. Now it's blown up, and I have trouble even knowing where it's all going. I don't think the establishment knows. I think it's out of control. That's why the former head of Defense Intelligence has come out 3 times now on television in the last 2 months and said, we were ordered to fund ISIS and al-Qaeda consciously. It's a horrible idea. I don't know what the president's thinking. To have former generals, 2-, 3-, and 4-star generals on TV saying this is horrible shows you the military is just beside themselves with all of this. And I'm not just saying that to make the military feel good and make them the heroes. It really is true. And Dr. Pieczenik will be with us about 20 minutes into the next hour. I don't want to just spend all day on what he wanted to come on about the InfoWar and the success of this show, though it's important to admit that to show the weakness of the establishment media. It's not really our strength, it's their weakness. I want to pick his brain as a real expert on Islamic terror. He was involved in Camp David early on, the founding of Delta Force right through that, then a bunch of big famous hostage situations that he helped resolve when they had hundreds of hostages. He was also involved, according to London Telegraph and other major papers in the Italian government, with a whole bunch of other stuff dealing with the communists and others, but he'll never speak to that really on air. His website, stevepieczenik.com. But so much is happening right now, and this is a time in history, clearly, where the stars are aligning for the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so that's why I want to get his take on the general world. But, Doctor, I'd like to just throw a question out, have you talk a couple minutes, move to the next question. There's so much to talk about. What would you like to start out with?
I want to start with the fact that today is December 7th, when we in the United States government performed the first stand down in 1941 on December 7th, and that was FDR and the attack on Pearl Harbor. From that day on, 60 years later, our government continued to do stand-downs, false flags under Bush, Cheney, and we had 9/11, we had the attack in Iraq. That was a disaster. We went to 3 wars. That was a disaster. We went into Yemen, Sudan, Somalia. Nowhere along the line did our generals or admirals stop any civilian president from saying this is a disaster. It's great that all the DIA operatives came out afterwards and said that this was a problem. But I have asked repeatedly our intelligence community to stand up and stop the president of the United States, be it Bush, Cheney, Clinton, or Obama. Obama has been a disaster from day one. His history has been nothing but a contrived absurdity about a CIA operative born of a CIA grandmother and mother and grandfather who had no background, no experience whatsoever, and was voted in without any vetting by the Secret Service, the National Security, or any organization in the United States. You and I could not have become president of the United States the way Obama did. And what did he do? He created a false flag and a stand-down issue with the killing of Osama bin Laden, which never occurred, since you correctly defined 14 years ago that Osama bin Laden was dead. So we had an Admiral McRaven, the SEAL team, which was just a shame. It's a disgrace in the United States that they stood up and said they killed Osama bin Laden, when in fact they had even been dead for 14 years. So we have a collusion among the President of the United States, who's created false issues, not only in Benghazi, not only in Osama bin Laden, but in Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was par excellence the description of a non-existent killing of a so-called Asperger's individual who supposedly killed 22 kids and several adults with a lot of machinery and a lot of heavy equipment. It was nonsense. It never occurred. Sandy Hook was shut down as a school in 2008. Since that time, Obama has criminally, consistently developed stand-down and false flags all over the United States.
Well, let's shift gears then, Dr. Pieczenik. I want to expand on this. Looking at the big picture, as a guy that was at the highest levels of major global operations,
yes.
Specifically, what do you see happening with these jihad attacks happening all over Europe, now happening in the U.S., the media attempting to say it wasn't jihad attack, that blew up in their face. I mean, they are really making some idiot moves right now. What do you think's the larger situation behind this?
The larger situation is that we are creating, the United States, along with NATO forces, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Israel, we're creating strategic tension points all over the Middle East in order to create conflict so that we can control the situation. First, we create disorganization and chaos, and then we come in to presumably control the situation in the Middle East. This is completely created by our capability and our incapacity to control chaos. We've created the chaos through the CIA. We created the chaos through SOCOM and the military forces. We then went into ISIS. We created ISIS with the help of Turkey and Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Dubai. And then we wanted to use that as a counterforce to the Iranian recognition, to the Shiites, and use it as a counterforce to Bashar Assad. Bashar Assad would not comply, neither did Russia. So what's happening is we're getting into a confrontation created by Obama and his neocon advisors, who again will not stand down and are supporting Israel to create a position in the Middle East where Israel and the United States can still demand that there are Muslim terrorists all over the world. For the most part, I've got to be very frank, the Muslims are basically fighting the Muslims. It's not an issue that really concerns
Shiite-Sunni civil war. Why are they allowing it to blow back?
Well, the blowback is simply because the San Bernardino issue, I'm still not sure where it stands in terms of a false flag. Number one, it's very rare to have a standing shooting operation in a office where you have basically disabled individuals.
And by the way, it is incredible. They were having a live shooting drill. This is ABC News. They were having a shooting drill now when this reportedly happened.
Not only that, they've been having a shooting drill in a center of where disabled veterans and others were living, and having it on a monthly basis. So that really was, number one, an S1 flag. Number two, you had a woman who supposedly was in Pakistan, went to Saudi Arabia, was less than 100 pounds, being able to wear a vest, at the same time carry guns, and at the same time shoot and Twitter, absolutely impossible. And at the same time, we had a...
So why would they allow a jihad false flag? And to be clear...
Because there's one issue that you have brought out repeatedly and correctly, and that was the Sandy Hook issue transposes everything we have here, and that is gun control for Obama. His last wish, and dying wish, may well be dying wish, is that we have a gun control in the United States. That is not going to happen. And at the same time, he has really committed criminal acts against the United States with the help, once again, of our CIA, our intelligence community, and other elements of our government.
Well, let me expand on that. And I've sent Joe Biggs to a bunch of these. He never thinks they're a false flag. He's a combat vet, smart guy. He says because of the drill at the same time. He says because of the tweeting while the killing's going on. He says because of the drill at the exact same time and other things. He, bare minimum, thinks that they had warned people locally they were ready. Not that they were involved, but that higher-ups opened the door to make sure it went ahead and happened. They gave them the passport. They let her back in with a fake address and fake info. So bare minimum, they were being protected. So that is a stage one, partial false flag, bare minimum.
Let me explain something to you. We usually have a very effective FBI. Trust me, when they're able to hand me subpoenas because I go on your show, or I've committed acts for our country 35 years ago, and then they apologize saying that we're spending hundreds of thousands to give you a subpoena, even though it's not appropriate. They're very capable of monitoring what's going on and stopping anyone from coming in. Now, it's important to understand.
Well, let's stop right there. I didn't know you got subpoenaed. Hold on, Steve. Hold on, Steve. Steve Pieczenik's our guest.
Yeah.
You got subpoenaed by the FBI about coming on my show?
Well, yeah, basically because I had talked about, and I brought up in the books the issue of the Red Brigade and what happened in Italy, although I never went into detail. So I got subpoenaed by the Miami-Dade prosecutor, and basically they brought in a Italian prosecutor who had spoken.
Oh, that's right. I saw that a while back.
That's correct, but that's not the issue. The issue is we have a dysfunctional government.
Well, that was a good piece of work you did with the Red Brigade. You got to be really proud of that one.
Well, I'm not proud of anything right now. I'm more proud of you and what's happening to the United States, because gloating about the past is not really the issue at hand. What's the issue at hand is you brought on Trump, you're speaking the truth, and now through your vehicle we can say this president is committing crimes against the United States, as Obama, as Cheney had committed crimes, and Bush, and there is no accountability. The FBI has...
Well, let's go back, and then I'll give you the floor. I want to go back to the FBI because that's interesting. So specifically, did they apologize to you for investigating you, for doing stuff for the CIA and the State Department?
No, what they basically do is say, we're following orders. It was like the German Nazi era. I mean, what you have now is really everybody doing their duty without really thinking twice about what they had to do. I had to spend $20,000 in cash to a crooked lawyer who never even showed up at times to my hearing, and basically my wife, who was born in an American family and that came in 1628, was so furious she started to yell at the prosecutor and say, "How dare you bring in an American military officer who was a deputy assistant secretary to answer questions to this incompetent Italian fool?" But that's not the issue. The issue at hand is we have the continuation of corruption and crimes. And this is where America has to say it's enough. We don't have a year left for Obama to finish out. Obama will create more false flags. He's not in charge. The CIA, probably with Brennan and with the DNI and with a whole bunch of others who are involved that you've never heard of, SOCOM, or the fact that we've used mercenary soldiers and we've used special forces and we've taken off the epaulets to go in there as non-combatants, basically, and fighting in the rules of engagement that we're not used to. What's happening is we're creating a fear dynamic which is blown up by the Republicans, and at the same time, Hillary is totally not qualified to answer it. The only thing that can happen is we need an immediate change of government with somebody like Trump who can begin to assess what's going on, and perhaps is
well, let's go back then, Dr. Pieczenik. Let's go back because you were excited about the Trump thing and saw it as a key sea change point. So let's break down why you think that interview was so important.
Well, the reason that interview is important is for 14 years you have been carrying the water in an amazing way to disseminate the truth as we truthers and others who understood what was happening in the government were trying to get out in terms of an outlet. You were the only one on the radio and TV, quite frankly, who said, you know what, Dr. Pieczenik, I don't know you, but I suspect that you're correct when I said 14 years ago that whoever is going to be president of the United States, and I didn't know who would be president, nor did anybody, would basically declare that he was going to be victorious by having killed Osama bin Laden. And, of course, the idiot Obama and McRaven and the rest of the SEAL team and the rest of the intelligence community fell for that PSYOPs trap.
And let's go further. A year after you were on, and then 3 years after you were on 14 years ago, the Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, came out and said exactly what you said. He's dead. They're going to roll him out. And then even Walter Cronkite said he talked to high-level folks that said that was true. So we know this is going on. But for me, it signifies...
Why are you important? Let me get to the point to the American public. You are important because basically you have been the game changer in the entire business of the media. Now, I've known the media very well, from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, all of them, Roger Ailes. Basically, their job is to get ratings and to get money for whatever content they produce. Your job, which I really didn't know from the beginning, was to assess the facts that were out there, and thanks to your own intuitive knowledge and sense of righteousness, you went on to say, okay, let me hear what the alternatives are. And you continued with it. And in that sense, to me, you represented the American public, the public I knew, the people who worked hard, the people who had to earn a living, the people who went to jobs on a daily basis, not the politicians like Hillary or Obama or Bush who were entitled little brats who never spent a day in work, who never went and served the military, who never had to pay a mortgage, who never had to pay anything else other than the money that they accrued from book sales and self-aggrandizement. Those days are over, and what happened is you allowed a Trump to come in, thanks to Mr. Roger Stone, whom I've known about since the Reagan administration. And he was brilliant enough to say, you know what, we're going to legitimize the people who've been out there called the truthers and the wackos, the 20 million of us, who basically are saying, Bush, Cheney, Obama, you're wrong. Not only are you wrong, you're criminal.
Well, to show your inside baseball, I didn't know you knew Stone. I knew of Stone. I didn't know how much high-level stuff he was involved in. I mean, elections in the third world, folks, put 2 + 2 together. But he's really a really great guy. I'm trying to get him back into town next week. And the behind-the-scenes stuff I learned, Trump knows a lot more, obviously, than the public knows. And Stone was basically talking about how many really good people in the government are basically saying what you're saying, that none of them were ever perfect. But they now realize this country is going to be brought down if we don't turn things around and stop this hijacking of the government by select groups at the top.
I agree with you. Well, I know of Roger Stone. I don't know him personally, but I've had a lot of respect for him. But I've had an immense amount of respect for Trump. And I'll give you an example. When he went on your radio, he went into detail about Afghanistan, that we sent our boys to die there for no reason, while the Chinese are picking up rare earths, lithium, and all the other minerals. And he was right on. Then he talked about inversion, which Hillary Clinton has no idea about. Obama has no idea because he thinks that Goldman Sachs is a brilliant entity, although he knows it's as crooked as the day is long. And this is the kind of man that we need right now. We don't have a year. And if I can say anything to your audience, we do not have 1 year left to live out this administration.
Stop right there. Steve, I want you to skip this break. It's so important. I want you to flesh out, because a lot of people say, and Trump said, well, you know, it'll make him a martyr politically if we go after him. He's in so much trouble. You know, I don't know if we have time in the next year, but my concern is the way Obama's acting, the way his people are acting, the way they're getting really nasty and really making more and more stuff up, they're acting like they're getting ready to move against the American people. And so if you agree with that, I'd like to know what you think we should be watching out for, what they might pull.
Well, What I agree with is that he is out of control, and he's fronting for an organization that's consisting of the Pritzkers, the Chicago Rami Emanuel, who, by the way, was being prosecuted for incompetency, lying, and distortion, even by the New York Times. And what we had was a distraction in San Bernardino from his good friend and buddy from childhood, Rami Emanuel, and the Chicago mob. And that's part of what San Bernardino was about, was to take away the attention when the New York Times asked for the resignation of Rami Emanuel and the entire government of Chicago. So what we expect to have is more denial, more crimes, and more distortions of the truth. What we need to do is to initiate a referendum where we will ask the president to step down. I do not want an assassination. What I want is a referendum where the people say we can no longer wait for a year. We do not want anyone else, and we will want to nominate by choice Trump. And either we have the elections now or we don't have the elections. We do not have one more year. And all this nonsense that's going on where ISIS is supposedly creating terrorist attacks all over the world, which they're not, quite frankly. You got to remember the two leaders of ISIS, the soul and the military arm, were both in our prisons in Baghdad for over 8 months. And if anybody in your audience believes that we in the military or in the intelligence community didn't double up these guys, and ISIS should know this, and every Sunni...
They would have never been released. Muslim, they would have been given acid baths if they weren't double agents.
They are double agents for us. So anybody who follows these fools knows that they're following CIA and military intelligence operatives who've been doubled by us easily, and then we create the false flags, the false enemies, which basically we claim are Muslims. The Muslims are not our enemies. They are the enemies, perhaps, of Israel, who has a problem with their survival, but we are not.
Well, I'll say this. Obviously, Wahhabis being brought in is meant for there to be attacks, so the government's bringing them in. They are, at the top of the food chain, guilty.
Let me be very frank. In my business, and they know this from my past experiences, it's easy for me to take out the Wahhabis and the Salafists in Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. That's the easiest work I can do. But fortunately, they're not letting me or others do that kind of work because they're easy to neutralize the way they were neutralized in other countries and other worlds, which I was involved with. But unfortunately, our government is involved in creating these episodes. Like Bush Sr. was involved in allowing Noriega to start agitation propaganda. Why? Because he wanted an excuse to send in the 82nd Airborne.
Well, absolutely. But here's my question. I think they've misjudged the calculus to be able to bring in radical jihadis, have them attack us, and then take our guns and restrict internet free speech, as Hillary's trying to do. I see how they brought them in to let them do it. I get it's a false flag ultimately because they brought them in. Correct. I just don't see how they think they'll get away with that.
Well, let me put this one. I really have to look back at San Bernardino, and you look at Como, the interviewer, in the newspaper, on CBS or ABC, where he asked the lawyer, there are many holes in this story. Number one, both the husband and wife were handcuffed. Number two, they were able to Twitter while they were shooting. Number three, you have a high military operation where even if you were a black widow, you couldn't be trained in this, particularly if you're 90 pounds. And the other man had no idea of how to deal with military capacity. But there was a third man who nobody talked about. My point to you is this is consistent with Sandy Hook. Once you have lied, once you have contrived false scenarios,
just go all the way.
Continuously be a liar, and you will continuously be.
Well, there is some evidence that the husband and wife were decoys and the other shoes, and that's usually how you do it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I must have. But the issue isn't this. The issue is much greater. Can we continue with a criminal like Obama, who is protected by incompetent Secret Service that has been rife with prostitution, alcoholism. And
Dr. Pieczenik, stay there. We got to go to break in 60 seconds. Stay there. We're going to come back, and we're going to get into some of his anti-terrorism operations he was in, because they're so interesting. What he can talk about, a lot of it still partially classified, but really interesting fellow. And, when he comes on the show, then I guess they try to indict him and stuff for the things he talks about. So I don't know the audience realizes the stuff you're hearing here. I mean, this guy really is very interesting, to say the least. We'll be right back. Don't forget, free shipping until December 18th at InfoWarsStore.com, and your purchase makes it all possible. InfoWarsStore.com. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. 5-minute segment here, 12-minute segment coming up with Dr. Steve Pieczenik. We've got a reporter from San Bernardino, California, joining us with video and audio feeds at the bottom of the hour, Joe Biggs and others. Don Salazar just ran in here and he said what Dr. Pieczenik just talked about, there being other reported shooters, is true. And I remember seeing that in the news, but we have a CBS News clip they're going to put in the computer we're going to play later, next segment, where one witness said, no, there were 3 tall white males with guns that were shooting people. There was an active shooter drill there. I mean, the mathematics of that happening and this happening, I get it. I really haven't gone there. My reporters have. I've been attacked in the Washington Post over it. Because I don't care. They opened the door and brought these people in to begin with. So it's a false flag any way you slice it. But I tell you, I'm so sick of everything being a false flag. But the evidence just mounts and mounts and mounts. And then the fact they think we're so dumb that they would let people attack us or bring them in or do it and then blame our guns and blame the internet for it really shows how stupid they think we are. Dr. Pieczenik, we've only got 3-4 minutes left in this segment, long one coming up, but specifically, what do you make of that? And then let's start talking about real terrorism that you've actually dealt with.
Real terrorism doesn't occur on a false flag. When I had to deal with a Hanafi Muslim in 1978, Carter had created the situation accidentally, and I had 500 hostages in 3 buildings. The FBI correctly called me in under the auspices of the U.S. prosecutor. And what I did was to take the Quran and basically use the talents of 3 Muslim ambassadors, Yaqub Khan, Ghurbal, and Zahidi, one Egyptian and one Iranian. And we were very effective in disarming a man who had killed about 4 or 5 people. That was real terrorism. And that was the first time the issue of stopping a Mohammed film and the fact that we had to release hostages was an issue. And I didn't release any hostages, and I didn't allow him to continue. He was declared mentally ill, but I knew his background. And basically, we disarmed him, even though Jimmy Carter was not very helpful. And I was disobedient. The point here that I'm trying to say to your public, and you have said repeatedly, is you must be disobedient. I'm asking our military and our intelligence officers to be disobedient, because if you're not, you're going to destroy this country. And the only reason why I survived was I was a Navy captain, a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, and I said to the President, you're wrong, and you stand down or you fire me. And I continued. I did the same thing again when it was in Panama, where Bush tried that, and I explained it to the CIA operatives that if you continue this, I will get you into trouble. I did the same thing in Cambodia, where the CIA got involved again, created distortion, denial, and we disarmed them using other techniques that I cannot go into. So the primary problems we have in the United States is not Muslim or Christian or any religion or ideology. It is the dysfunctional aspects of a CIA and an intelligence community that has grown out of proportion. We now have 16 different intelligence units that do absolutely nothing, are paid trillions of dollars, is run now by a Navy admiral who really never had any experience in intelligence, was a submarine commander, was run before by a general who was in G2 and had many degrees. But this cannot continue. We do not have a Congress, a president, or a military and intelligence that is viable and concerned about our national security. And that's where America has to have the American Revolution in a way that's productive and constructive. Why you are important and why Trump was important is you are the game changer. You are the expression of that American Revolution in the 21st century. To allow the truth to come out, St. Augustine said, don't worry about the truth. Let it do what it does best, to destroy those who distort the truth. So I quote St. Augustine, and I say to the American people, please don't give up, and don't give up hope. Stand by what you believe and demand a referendum to get this president out and demand accountability from Bush, Clinton, and others for criminal acts.
We'll be back.
And we will win.
We'll be back. Stay with us. Dr. Pieczenik's our guest.
Hillary Clinton wants to censor people who make fun of her. She was recently trying to censor comedy skits that poked fun at her, which were produced by the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, California. The owner of the Laugh Factory, Jamie Masada, told Judicial Watch that her campaign threatened to put him out of business if he didn't pull the videos. So in response to this attack on free speech, Infowars.com has launched the Make Fun of Hillary Defend the First Amendment contest with a first place cash prize of $5,000. We want the funniest, most outrageous satire and comedy videos guaranteed to make Hillary's blood boil. To enter, read the contest rules at Infowars.com/contest and then shoot a comedy or satire video making fun of Hillary Clinton. All entries must be uploaded to YouTube and a link emailed to hillarycontest@infowars.com. Enter your video before the contest deadline at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. Once again, the contest rules and information can be found at Infowars.com/contest. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com. We look forward to your video making fun of Hillary Clinton.
InfoWarsLife.com. Oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. A highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. Sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigyrex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. While we see radical jihadists brought into the country, whether it's false flag or not, we see the president saying it's the fault of the Second Amendment that would cause a revolution in this country if they come for the guns. We have Obama saying, I'm going to put you on a no-fly list and you can't own guns extrajudicially. Where are the constitutional lawyers pointing out this is a Constitution-killing initiative? Meanwhile, new Star Wars plot is cloaked in unprecedented secrecy, and theaters plan contest fans to watch for days until they drop. I mean, the movie looks unwatchable. They get the worst actors. I thought the guy that played Darth Vader last time, looked like a kid from a school play. Now they've got some other new lead actor who is just as bad an actor. And this is our big cultural experience. World governments being established. Huge military escalations between Turkey and Russia. Turkey's now moved in troops into Iraq. All hell's breaking loose. The Turkish president's threatening to blow up Russian ships. If that happens, you know what's going to happen. The Russians are going to respond. It's going to escalate very, very quickly. And the average American, the average young person especially, I'm talking about 25, 30-year-olds, is drooling over Star Wars. Drooling. And they're so bad. It's like one big, giant Jar Jar Binks nightmare. So, revolutionary in 1977, not revolutionary today. Horrible. James Earl Jones and Alec Guinness, these people are not, to quote Yoda. Penis transplants being planned to help wounded troops. Wow. Yeah, they weren't paying for so many sex changes for everybody else that might have the money. Scientists turn to religion for climate action. Yeah, they're now trying to fund groups to stop the satanic denial of that. We've got Venezuela opposition is basically taking over the legislature. Socialists are on the run. Oil's the lowest it's been in 7 years. That's some of the news up on drudgereport.com, up on Infowars.com. Obama, 6 years later, calls Fort Hood a terrorist attack. J.P. Morgan and Citigroup agree that the U.S. economy is steamrolling towards recession. Oh, they've finally come out and said it. Former Congressman Joe Walsh goes on anti-Islam rant, dares Loretta Lynch to prosecute him. Regardless of what you think of Islam or radical Islam, don't you have the free speech? Now, we've got Adon Salazar in the control room. I want him to introduce this clip, and we'll get Dr. Pieczenik's take on it, saying that how was there a drill at the exact same time of this happening with armed military police there? I mean, that is super rare. And it just keeps happening at false flags. And then you've got witnesses saying they saw white guys running around. Well, see, the globalist up above it may have had the police there for a drill to confuse everything even more in case something went wrong. See, a lot of times the drill isn't people that are part of it. That's why they had folks in the 7/7 bombing admit, we were running a drill, the exact same trains and exact same bus being bombed at the exact same time. Scotland Yard was part of it. Well, they weren't part of it to go on the news and say, it's crazy we were running a drill. They were hired for smog, for confusion, for fog of war. In case any of the false flaggers got caught, then they just say, oh, it's part of a drill. Or maybe Dr. Pieczenik can correct me and explain how that works. But they also bootleg the funding for attacks. But listen, there were real bombers, as best we can tell. They were being handled by a MI6 operative who, again, was a Wahhabist. So it's this sickening Saudi Arabian deal with Western intelligence to wind up these loons, let them hit us, and then they take our freedoms away. But let's go ahead and go to this clip. Adon Salazar brought it to my attention. You're backing up what Dr. Pieczenik was just saying earlier. Tell us about these two clips, Adon.
Well, we were really careful not to jump on the whole false flag narrative first off, because everybody expects InfoWars to, claim every mass shooting is a false flag, which, obviously they aren't all false flags. But this one, we were careful not to call it a false flag from the beginning. And then last night, I saw an Intel Hub piece where one of the writers was analyzing a CBS News piece. And
have we posted their whole article yet?
The lady they're interviewing, she claims she says she was inside the Inland Regional Center when the shooting happened, and she describes 3 shooters, white, male, tall, wearing military gear, which doesn't fit the description that, of the assailants at the end. It wasn't Muslim. They weren't 2 Muslims, a male and a female. She said specifically she saw 3 males, so here's that clip if we want to run it.
Let's run it.
Why would we hear shots? As we look out the window, a second set of shots goes off, and it's just pop, 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 pop. And we saw a man fall to the floor. Then we just looked, and we saw 3 men dressed in all black military attire with vests on. They're holding assault rifles, and they opened up the door to Building 3. And one of them opens up the door to Building 3. He starts to shoot. He just, shoots all over into the room. That's the room that we typically have conferences in. We just heard more gunshots go off.
That's Sally Abdelmajid, I think is how you pronounce it. And there's other witnesses saying the same thing. There's the Intel Hub run by Shepherd Ambulance, pretty good website. I mean, he's a really great guy. I love the new look at their site. I haven't looked at it lately. Eyewitness to terror attack. 3 tall white men did it. Boy, MSNBC will have a heart attack of joy if they get to do that and make it racial. But this doesn't fit what the other witnesses said about how they made the Christians and others beg for their lives. So do they piggyback something? That woman sounded pretty credible. I know we have another clip. Let's get Dr. Steve Pieczenik's take on what he just heard.
I think that's very credible, because since 9/11, we've had the same type of dynamics. We have the white guys creating the problem, then blaming it on the Muslims. In effect, the Muslims have not been a major part of this problem. The major part of this problem has been us, and the enemy is really us, and this is the problem. And unless we start to indict past presidents, the present president, and get rid of all of this nonsense in our intelligence and our military community, we're not going to succeed, and we're headed for self-destruction. Obama's part of this. Cheney was part of it. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. The Republic is deteriorating, and it's self-destructive. This is the modus operandi of what happens when you have an intelligence community that is totally out of control, has no oversight, and we have no ability to control what's going on.
Okay, I see the evidence of false flag, that they open the doors, at least let them in. I mean, that's open and shut. This makes it even more suspicious. I just can't believe they would be that reckless, but, I mean, look what they've already done, as you said. Well, then the narrative, the calculus, it blows up in their face. If they bring in radical jihadis and let them attack us, why would they do that? Well, we see it. Come after our guns, come after our speech, and say we must comply to radical Islam so they don't kill us. Is that the calculation?
No, the problem is they're not smart enough to figure out what you did. And I'm not trying to laud you. I'm just simply saying they didn't put in their calculation in 9/11 that there would be an Alex Jones and a Dr. Pieczenik who would a year later predict that 13 years later the president of the United States would claim he would kill a man who was already dead. That's the problem with all of this strategic false flags. They're not smart, and they think the American public is dumb. The American public is not dumb, plus the fact you have Alex Jones and 20 million listeners, plus the fact that we have the Internet, and it works both ways. The Internet may expand and create fear, but at the same time, in the hands of an Alex Jones or Dr. Pieczenik or Trump, it reverts. We can use it as the weapon. They did not expect that to happen. They were not prepared for that. And that's why they kept monitoring me in particular, as you said to me. Thousands of operatives monitor me. Of course they monitor me. They know my history.
I've been off record visited by U.S. agencies and foreign ones. And I've gone ahead and met with the people, and, they just point blank say, we're deciding what to do with you. And I just go, well, do whatever you got to do. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I know you've got those visits as well. I just don't think the average person out there understands how serious this is. But here's the good news, Dr. Pieczenik. I've had former heads of special forces, current generals, people in Congress contact me and say, we're rooting for you. We appreciate what you're doing. And so there are a lot of good people in the system as well.
They are, but they have to act. There has to be a core of defiance by the special forces, by our intelligence community. And for that, trust me, I will pay a price later on, because I normally get emails from the intelligence community saying I've gone too far, or I will get another subpoena. But I'm willing to do this to say to the American public, enough is enough. Our country is out of control. The Salafists and the Wahhabis, they're a problem. But if you want to have the problem neutralized, we could have neutralized that decades ago.
Oh, I agree. Well, I've had the Saudis messing with me, too. They know that they know that we don't like their organization because they're the ones
But remember, it's the Bush family. You're talking about Marvin and Neil indicted for SNL scandals. You're talking about Bush Sr. indicted for 9/11 and 2008, Bush Jr., 2008 financial crash. Now we have Jeb Bush, who was involved in the transition from one illegal government to another, whose whole history is based on illegal activities in Florida.
I know. All I'm saying is, Doc, we got to go to break. We got to go to break. We're going to come back. Don has another clip, and we'll get some final comments from you. I'll just be honest. I don't want the credit because it's so dangerous. This is a scary job. I never intended to be this successful. But what you're saying is actually true and accurate. And I was actually told this basically by some of the Trump people. They're aware of what's going on, and it's just beyond a science fiction movie. I just can't believe that other people didn't stand up and fight the globalists. But the good news is it shows the power of the people. My listeners, my audience is the real power, and that's what the globalists are afraid of. And the good news is I've already gone to seed. They can take me out, but people already get the paradigm. The transmission's already sent, so I hope I'm a little bit safer because I don't want to mess with these people.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
A revolution in body protection has arrived only at FortressSurvivalLLC.com. Introducing the revolutionary patented Level 3 Bulletproof Vest. 100% Kevlar, 100% American-made. Concealable, fully adjustable, and the lowest price on the market. Adult size normally $289.99, now just $250. Kid size normally $239.99, now just $200. Get affordable protection with a Level 3A Bulletproof Vest from FortressSurvivalLLC.com. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Psalm 31:3.
The following is an important holiday inventory announcement from IDStronghold.com.
As many of you have come to know, IDStronghold.com is the #1 name in quality RFID blocking wallets that actually do as they say and prevent electronic pickpocketing of the new RFID chips found in credit cards, room keys, subway passes, and more. Last year, due to the extreme popularity of giving ID Stronghold wallets and clutches as unique gifts at Christmas time, we ran out of our most popular styles and colors early. The good news is, we now have our holiday inventory ready for same-day shipping. We have added many more designs of beautiful leather wallets and clutches, all with state-of-the-art built-in electronic pickpocket shielding from the most respected name in RFID protection, IDStronghold.com. Don't wait and limit your choices of these great gifts. We are expecting another sellout season. These wallets aren't available in stores, so visit IDStronghold.com today. That's IDStronghold.com.
The lining of your lungs is supposed to be protected with glutathione to neutralize incoming irritants. In the absence of enough glutathione, your lungs are more prone to irritation. Listen to the real-world results of one man using a powerful glutathione-supporting food.
Hi, my name is Bill O'Brien. I generally suffer through an asthmatic breathing type situation. My breathing is shallow and generally constricted in the nose and lungs. After consuming One World Whey today, I have tremendous energy and also notice my breathing is free. I can feel the air in my left nostril, and it is free all the way to my abdomen, which is pretty remarkable because I rarely get that feeling. Being a singer, I love feeling this unrestricted voice. The only thing new I've actually added to my routine is One World Whey. Wow.
Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld.com.
Thousands of people seeking home security get ripped off every day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that's your only option. They've got hordes of salesmen out there trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing huge checks month after month with no way out. It's robbery by contract, and it can cost you thousands. But there's a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get award-winning 24/7 protection. Security professionals watching over your home, ready to instantly send police to the rescue for just $14.99 per month. That's less than half what most companies charge. Protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafedefense.com today for an exclusive 10% offer and get a free keychain remote worth $25. Only when you go to simplysafedefense.com. simplysafedefense.com.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Alex Jones. We put together a compilation of Obama saying there's no such thing as basically radical Islamic terrorists and that we're just scared of women and orphans. That's all coming up. Then Joe Biggs from the ground in San Bernardino, California. And I think what Dr. Pieczenik's saying is, yes, there are radical Islamicists. Yes, there's Wahhabists out of Saudi Arabia. But the core problem is our Western governments are working with them. And I agree with him. They're funding them to go into these countries, to destabilize the area. And we've had so many top generals come out and say, we've been ordered consciously to do it. It's wrong. It's evil. And then the media spins it. Former head of Defense Intelligence says we screwed up. But then you actually watch the clip. That's not what they're saying. So that is disobeying orders, saying that on national television. That is bold. And so I think what Dr. Pieczenik's calling for is starting to happen. One of the most dangerous things you can do, though, is to call for people to do what they're doing in government. But it's even more dangerous to let a criminal outside group take over like this. Let's remember, these are illegitimate groups that are doing this. It's criminal. Just because a guy hijacks a plane and is wearing the pilot's uniform doesn't mean he's the pilot. I think that's what Pieczenik's getting at. But Adon Salazar, the reporter pointing this out to us, we're posting the entire IntelliHub article at Infowars.com right now with the video. But good job for the journalist groups out there ferreting this out and pointing this out. What's this other clip?
This is of Sally Abdelmagid, the employee of the Inland Regional Center, and it's the other half of the interview where Scott Pele, I think, is the CBS anchor that's interviewing her. He asks her if she's certain that she saw 3 men, and she confirms, and then at the end of the clip he says, well, now we know that it was a male and a female. So
wow, staying with the script. Let's go to it.
I couldn't see his face. He had a black hat on, and from my view, all I could see was just a black hat and black long-sleeve shirt, possibly gloves on. He had black cargo pants on, the kinds with the zippers on the sides and the big puffy pockets. He had a huge assault rifle, and he had extra ammo. He's coming ready for something. To reload, I don't know. He had like magazines. I couldn't see what else. I just saw 3 dressed exactly the same.
You're certain that you saw 3 men?
Yes. It looks like their skin color was white. They looked like they were athletic build, and they appeared to be tall.
And then he goes on and we play the full clip and then repeats it's a man and a woman. This could be, though, because there was a drill going on and then she's not into guns and people are shooting and she's confused. But still, the fact that there'd be a drill at the same time. Dr. Pieczenik, closing comments on this.
What you're seeing is the collusion between the media and the government. Let me make it very clear. For example, when Osama bin Laden was not killed, the CIA immediately opened an office and literally dictated the script for 0 Dark 30. I reprimanded that. I was thrown out of the Producers Guild and then eventually brought back in on the Academy Awards. What you have is repeatedly somebody like Anderson Cooper bringing in Bob Baer. Anderson Cooper worked for the CIA as an intern, still works for them. You have Bob Baer, who was a CIA operative who was really out of control in the Middle East and literally gave you the storyline for Syriana, which glorified his position. So what you're having throughout the media are people who are in the intelligence business and then twisting those stories around for their own gain. Most of them are not heroes. Most of them are not great Americans. What they are is very greedy individuals who want to make money, who make money on this kind of business where they offer protection, where they offer some kind of position. But for the most part, these are frightened individuals. When 9/11 occurred and 2 CIA operatives had to admit to me what had happened, as well as military intelligence, you have to realize that almost everyone who works in our government, in either intelligence or military, is beholden to a paycheck.
Well, do you remember the Rumsfeld clip that came out where he's with 6 generals? And they say, sir, we may need another 9/11. Can we please have one?
Yep.
And it's being recorded. And that's the thing that's so crazy is that you've said you'll testify to Congress that you were Council on Foreign Relations meetings, and there's just open discussion of this. I mean, when I've had these foreign governments come visit me, they're just very honest about this. And they go, okay, well, you know it's a false flag, but you don't hate our country. And I'm like, no, I don't hate your country. And you know a bunch of governments are involved. Yes, I know a bunch of governments are involved. And I just can't believe that even these groups, I don't say this to make me sound big because I don't like this, they're actually scared of me. And I just don't want them to stop saying my kids belong to the state and they want my guns, Doc. I just want them to cut them.
because you are protected by the truth and the fact that there are many people who care about you, and the fact that Trump came on was a major, major game changer, the likes of which people still don't really understand.
Stay there. I want you to finish. 2 minutes, Dr. Pieczenik. StevePieczenik.com. Stay with us.
Did you know that when you're serving jury duty, you have complete authority over the law and the power to stop the government? That's right. As a juror, you can not only judge the defendant, but also the law he's being charged with as well. And that's a little-known secret prosecutors don't want you to know. For example, let's say a man is charged with marijuana possession and you don't agree with that law. Well, as a juror, you can decline charging the man because you don't believe the law is justified. Judges and prosecutors have misled juries into believing that they should only examine the facts of the case and not the law. But the juror can actually stop the enforcement of unconstitutional laws in two ways. As a grand juror, you may refuse the government's request to pursue criminal charges against the accused. And as a trial juror, you can acquit the defendant who is charged with breaking an unconstitutional law. Either way, by using jury nullification, the juror has the power to say no, thus having an immediate and direct effect on our government. You can find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association, which can be found at www.fija.org. And this is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction. Easy assembly. Low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.
I know one thing for sure. When the New York Daily News comes out and has one of their journalists say that the conservatives that were basically killed there deserved it because they were conservative, we're dealing with some sick freaks. And the whole leftist ideology in this country has just mutated into bizarro land. Again, I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it again. Thomas Jefferson was what I'd call a liberal. George Washington is the country's first conservative. I admire both men. I would be a liberal in 1776. These liberals today are freaks. And I know conservatives can get real weird in wartime and stuff too, but man, you know, I mean, I tune into MSNBC and it's like some type of Soviet brainwashing channel. I mean, they're so weird. They're so manipulative. They're so cult-like. We're going to be talking more about that. We have a compilation of a video that Dew put together titled Obama Caught Running ISIS. It's very powerful. Then Joe Biggs will be joining us from San Bernardino. And then right into the fourth hour, Paul Joseph Watson from London. We haven't even gotten into the economics, the Trump news. There's so much more. But I think the good news here is this radio show, other radio shows, folks like the IntelliHub that was breaking that other news, everybody. The alternative media is becoming the dominant media in numbers, not just in having more credibility. And it doesn't mean we have all the answers either. But the establishment is out of gas. They have no credibility. And you've got these different criminal camps that are trying the same old thing. And I just wanted to say to Dr. Pieczenik briefly and get his brief response. He's got to go and we've got to go. He was on a few months ago And he said, you know, at the CFR and all the rest of it, I fed the line that Jeb Bush should run, knowing that once he got back in, we used 9/11 on him. And then I see Trump start using 9/11 on him, and then I have some discussions. I'll just leave it at that. And that's indeed what they're doing, is basically baiting the media in to attack him as a 9/11 truther. And then he's going to destroy the Clintons and the Bushes with it. But they were smart enough. It got real big, and then crickets, no stories. 2,000 plus stories, and then no stories. The word went out, shut that down. So now, obviously, I can let everybody in on the hat trick because, you know, now the this particular cast of the fishing rod lure was somewhat successful, but not fully successful. Plus, it's good to let them know that they're not the only ones that play games. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. And again, I'm not here with some agency. I'm not being advised by people. I'm just here common sense. And then I talk to Pieczenik, and then I talk to some other people, and they're on the same page, and I wonder if they know each other. Pieczenik says they don't. But it's just people that get what's going on and know how to respond to it. But that is pretty exciting, Pieczenik.
Well, not only are you correct, but let me give you an example. Cornell University, which is considered a liberal school, produced three of the most fascist neocons: Sandy Berger, who died, fortunately, recently, Paul Wolfowitz, and Steve Hadley, all involved in 9/11. Sandy on behalf of Clinton, Paul Wolfowitz, and the other person on behalf of Bush. And they were all in Quiller and Dagger secret society at Cornell, which I knew nothing about. Harvard University, mass mental health, involved in the storyline of the false flag and Sandy Hook, as well as Yale psychiatry department. I indicted all of them, and they couldn't respond. And I indicted them of corruption, of moral corruption, and financial corruption, and they couldn't say a word. Those are three major universities. And believe me, once you have those universities in a state of fear, now you have a real problem, because it's gone to the educational level, the media level, the government level. And I'm not being paranoid. This is very
well, what they can't deal with is that now the military, the police, the local governments know the narrative. I mean, the governor of Texas pretty much listens every day. I'm not going to brag about it. I don't want to get into inside baseball. They're in trouble. And more, we're willing to be attacked. We're willing to be killed, I guess, if we have to be. And I don't think they know how to deal with people that aren't cowards like them.
Well, the point is your influence, and I know, for example, at Rutgers University in New Jersey, is immense. It is absolutely immense. And that feedback doesn't come back to you, but it comes back to me through the professors. Your influence on the students in Cornell, at Harvard, and Yale is far greater than they realize. And the people who've been brought in as the dupes of those universities, believe me, they've been bought out by Sandy Weil of Citibank. For example, Cornell University Medical College, which was an elite medical school, 180 years in existence, changed its name from Weil Medical College. It was bought and totally bought out and grafted by Sandy Weil, a total crook from Citibank. And now it's called Weil Medical College. The same thing with Icahn Medical College and Geffen Medical College. So what you see is happening is the money of the private sector is co-opting any of the institutions we have, at the same time co-opting the political and military-industrial complex. That's why our generals, they are so bloated, and there's so many of them, more than had ever been in World War II. I don't have a George Marshall. So you and I are, in effect, acting as the George Marshall to say, get rid of these 4-star generals, get rid of these 3-star admirals, get rid of these bloated political generals who really are not of great service. What I need are the captains, the majors, and lieutenants who will not make it up the system. And I ask them again to seriously understand what you are following through. Those who have committed false flags or have gone into killing Americans or anyone else will pay the price. Believe me, I have always been successful in retribution, and that the CIA knows that, the intelligence community knows that, and the military knows that. That's why they always hand me a subpoena and they monitor me repeatedly, because I don't make false promises, and they will pay. Whether it's Trump who comes in and makes them pay or others who are in the institution that will make them pay. But they will not continue to do this. And Obama's on notice. And you have a Secret Service who knows more about any of our presidents, has never been able to come forth as an American institution.
Yeah, I've been told by the Secret Service, I'm just going to leave it at this, and not specifics, They didn't break any laws. They just said it's worse than you know, it's worse than you say. I mean, I've had Bongino on, who was the head of their foreign detail. He said it's worse than you say, Alex. They say it's so insane, I wouldn't believe it. Dr. Pieczenik, stevepieczenik.com. We appreciate you coming on. Powerful interview. We'll talk to you again soon, sir.
And God bless you and your audience. Thank you very much for having done everything you did.
No, thank you, sir.
No.
I don't like to get on the show here and talk about how big we are and how effective we are, but at this point we have to because the enemy already knows that. And I like to kind of be under the radar over the years and just being effective. But now, believe me, imagine there's not many shows like this. And what do you think government's tuning into? And I'm just a guy from Texas that analyzes it and has experts on. And I just want my country back. I don't have any personal beefs with these people. I was screaming at Obama last night during the piece I did because I'm just sick of it, man. Blaming the Second Amendment for the jihadis he brought in. I don't know what really happened. All I know is you're not taking my freedoms, buddy. And then they got freaks in MSNBC and the New York Daily News saying the conservatives deserve to have their heads blown off. What? It just doesn't compute that you're such freaks. You run everything, too. That's dangerous. You people are scum. You have no good taste. I mean, I'm calling you names because that's what you are. People are dead, and you're saying that they're bigoted scum that deserve to die because they said they were a Christian? I mean, what's your problem? Seriously, we're going to go to break and come back with Biggs for 2 segments. Please support the broadcast. We've got the Deep Cleanse back in. We've got it $5 off. First time we've discounted it. Free shipping until the 18th. We're selling out of the great charger car battery units. Those are excellent as well. A lot of other great products. InfoWarsLife.com. But right now, let's go to this powerful piece that Rob Dew and I put together. This piece, headline, Obama caught red-handed running ISIS. Here is the report.
Last night, on my orders, America's armed forces began strikes against ISIL targets in Syria.
U.S. counterterrorism officials asking why are ISIS fighters driving so many similar trucks and where are they getting them from?
How do we know that the arms that are going to the Syrian rebels are not going to get into the hands of ISIS?
Because if we had people who were there to funnel it to the right people, and I know these people, and I know who they are, and I know how to do it, and so do other people.
You are basically saying that even in government at the time, you knew those groups were around, you saw this analysis, and you were arguing against it, but who wasn't listening?
I think the administration.
In an interview with the New Yorker magazine, it compares groups linked to al-Qaeda to an amateur basketball team.
Intelligence officials in Pakistan say a local commander from the terrorist network Islamic State has admitted receiving funds transferred via the U.S. He made the confession while being interrogated.
Today, we learned that the same group may now be in possession of a deadly cache of American-made firepower Stinger missiles.
I think it was a willful decision.
A willful decision to go support an insurgency that had Salafist, Al-Qaeda, and Muslim
a willful
Brotherhood.
decision to do what they're doing, which you have to really ask the president, what is it that he actually is doing?
As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
Now, U.S. military aircraft have dropped ammunition in areas held by ISIL terror group in Iraq. Now, according to volunteer forces who are fighting the terrorists, American helicopters dropped boxes of weapons in Yathrib and Balad districts in the Salahuddin province.
We now hear that President Obama will ask Congress for $5.3 billion to equip and train Iraqi soldiers and quote-unquote moderate Syrian rebels to fight the Islamic State militants.
Reports say the U.S. military has airdropped weapons for the ISIL on several occasions.
Last month, I ordered our military to take targeted action against ISIL to stop its advances.
Do you know that he made the Air Force drop leaflets telling the ISIS truck drivers to get out, that bombs were going to fall? Did you know that? Does anyone know that he did that? This is going to make people think twice about this guy. This is not as clear as it may be of he's just a pacifist or a liberal. There's something more here, Donald.
And it's been more than a year now. ISIS's capabilities seem to be expanding. Were you aware that they had capability of pulling off the kind of attack that they did in Paris? Are you concerned And do you think they have that same capability to strike in the United States?
The unclassified reports have estimated that in just the first 12 months of renewed ISIS operations in Syria and Iraq, they've recruited more than 22,000 foreign fighters. At least 4,000 are Westerners. So those are Americans, Brits, French citizens, German citizens.
It was very disturbing to pull this from the UM website in September that says of the 381,412 arrivals that came across the Mediterranean Sea just this year up to September, that 15% were children, 13% were women, and 72% were men.
Such a backlash against Syrian refugees coming to the United States after the word that some of these attackers may have passed through Syria. 31 governors now say they don't want them living in their states. Many presidential candidates calling for a ban or religious tests. Congress moving for a moratorium on new refugees.
They point out there's an extensive vetting process that includes the intelligence community, the Departments of State and Homeland Security. In fact, George,
the concerns in Syria is that we don't have the systems in place on the ground to collect the information to vet. That would be the concern.
Yes, I think that's the challenge we're all talking about, is that we can only query against that which we have collected.
You can't account for what you don't know, and that goes to the intelligence deficit that I think is embedded in your question. But apparently they're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America as part of our tradition of compassion.
It's a terror threat unlike any Europe or the U.S. has seen before. It's the ultimate stealth weapon for ISIS.
A female suicide bomber is like a stealth precision weapon.
A stealth precision weapon, Brian, and this is a major change in strategy.
Thanks to our military and counterterrorism professionals, America is safer.
We may have somebody who comes to us and is simply not on our radar for any discernible reason. And there may also be the possibility that somebody decides to do something bad after they've been admitted through the process.
We do not close our hearts to these victims of such violence and somehow start equating
the West,
the issue of refugees, with the issue of terror.
Caused it.
Been reaching out to various countries that have been fighting ISIS in Syria and Iraq, urging followers to attack in their home country.
The FBI is still gathering the facts about what happened in San Bernardino, but here's what we know. The victims were brutally murdered and injured by one of their co-workers and his wife. So far, we have no evidence that the killers were directed by a terrorist organization overseas or that they were part of a broader conspiracy here at home.
Because we have the clearest indication yet that that shooting rampage 2 days ago in San Bernardino, California, was an act of terror inspired by ISIS.
New details about the couple involved in that deadly San Bernardino mass shooting, including a statement of support for ISIS by the female shooter, Tashfeen Malik.
But apparently they're scared of widows and orphans.
ISIS has been a main concern of the U.S. through just this sort of radicalization. Not directed plots, but people who follow ISIS propaganda through their relentless outpouring of propaganda around the world every day.
In June 2015, Iraqi officials reported that as many as 500 children were kidnapped by ISIS to serve as suicide bombers and child soldiers.
Anybody who had a chance to see those kids, hopefully you understood the degree to which they're just like our kids.
New Islamic State video shows boy soldier execute 2 alleged Russian spies.
Long way from when you described them as a JV team. Well, was that bad intelligence or your misjudgment?
Keep in mind, I wasn't specifically referring to ISIL. As I've said before, this aspect of our strategy was moving too slowly, but the fall of Ramadi has galvanized the Iraqi government. So with the additional steps I ordered last month, we're speeding up training of ISIL forces, including volunteers from Sunni tribes in Anbar province.
That's a powerful piece that we're going to be posting the full video of in the next 20-30 minutes to Infowars.com. And there is a lot of breaking news, obviously, at PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com. The U.S. continues to target Syrian military, blowing up their bases to help ISIS. And the Turks have gone into Iraq, where the Iraqis were defeating an ISIS enclave and have blown them to bits. And Turkey says they're preparing to attack Russian ships. So there you go. That's who runs our governments. Complete psychopath demons who, again, run baby harvesting facilities. I mean, just what do you expect? Mainstream media admits gun control doesn't work. There's another report out with George Stephanopoulos, an important article that Kit Daniels wrote up on Infowars.com. So this is just some of the news that is up on that site. We're going to go to break, come back with two segments with Joe Biggs, and then we're going to hand the baton to Paul Joseph Watson. Briefly, Deep Cleanse, one of our the most popular product, if we can keep it in stock, is back in a small run of it, and we're discounting it by $5. Normally you don't discount something you can't keep in stock. We just do that, especially during the holidays, and free shipping running through December 18th. Deep Cleanse available, discounted for the first time ever at InfoWarsLife.com. That's one word, InfoWarsLife.com. Or InfoWarsStore.com is the big umbrella site. Your purchase funds the whole operation.
Do you have relatives and friends that are convinced there is no need ever to prepare for any kind of emergency? Are these also folks you buy Christmas presents for? At 30dayfoodsupply.com, we can solve both of these problems at the same time. Go to 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. We can ship your Christmas presents directly to them. Choose from our original $99 30-day food supply, our long-term storage vegan burger mixes, and other oatmeal, soups, porridges, beans, and granolas for everyday use. All products are non-GMO, MSG-free, and vegetarian. Most are gluten, soy, and nut-free. Call 541-229-0010 today. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low, cutting out the middleman by buying directly from their producers in Oregon. Remember, only $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit the website 30dayfoodsupply.com. Call 541-229-0010. 30dayfoodsupply.com. 541-229-0010.
What looks good under your Christmas tree and tastes even better? Big Berkey water filters. Yes, the gift of clean water. A gift that provides a great foundation for achieving good health in the lives of your loved ones. A Big Berkey water filter gives them protection from bacteria, heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, pesticides and herbicides, VOCs and more. And best of all, a Big Berkey water filter is a gift that lasts for many years with no additional investment. And that saves time and money in filter replacements that other water filters require and are even powerful enough to purify treated, untreated, or even stagnant pond water. As always, all orders over $50 are shipped free, and GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. Order online at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com, spelled Big, B-E-R-K-E-Y, waterfilters.com, or call 877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-B-E-R-K-E-Y. Gift well this Christmas. Give a Big Berkey water filter.
We've had an amazing year here at Supernatural Silver. We've truly enjoyed the fantastic response from thousands of people as they've tried our extraordinary product, and we're thrilled at the life-changing results people have. Our company email is continually full of happy, satisfied customers who thank us for the help they've received from Supernatural Silver. This holiday season, as you think of gifts to give your loved ones, consider giving Supernatural Silver, a gift that can help provide good health and wellness, a gift that can change lives and make a real difference in a world where we are constantly exposed to dangerous health threats. Give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Give Supernatural Silver. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code HOLIDAY2015 for 20% off. And this holiday season, we wish you and yours the blessings of peace and good health from all of us here at supernaturalsilver.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to go into the fourth hour. I'll do 5 more minutes, and then with Joe Biggs in this segment, and then the next, about 12 minutes total. Then we'll hand the baton to Paul Joseph Watson. Watson may want to keep Biggs over some, I'm not sure. But Biggs is going to be coming back to Austin soon. Then after the holidays, they're going to go back out around the country to more jihad and radicalization centers around the country. They were out covering that on the East Coast when this happened, obviously predicting that attacks would be taking place. It is a false flag. They opened the door and let him in. But now there's mounting evidence of the drill and more. This is really looking suspicious. What we do know is Obama's blaming our Second Amendment. And we have this article, leftist journalist, victim of San Bernardino shooting, deserved it because he was conservative. I can't believe a woman named Lydia or Linda Stasi, she really has the name of the German secret police, would actually make statements like this. But we saw similar statements from other news channels. Joe Biggs, that's got to really freak you out, being there on the ground right there at the memorial where 14 people were killed. I mean, this is sickeningly evil. She'll probably get a Pulitzer Prize for saying that, though.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And like you said, we're standing outside of the Memorial Center at the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino. And, I was listening to your interview with Steve Pieczenik earlier, and a lot of things he says I have to agree with. And the fact that, earlier today, Adon sent me that email with those videos. And, when you go back over and you watch it, that firsthand account of how they were describing the people that were coming through shooting, it's really odd when you see this unfold, days later, and what the narrative has been pushed out.
Continue with what's developed in the last 24 hours.
Well, as yesterday, like we said yesterday, the father of Saeed Farouk came out and said that his son had admitted to him that he did support ISIS. He had pledged his allegiance to, al-Baghdadi, the leader of ISIS. And then last night you have President Obama coming out saying that the people in America are afraid, we're scared, which I don't quite frankly agree with whatsoever. I don't think we're scared. I think the person who was scared is President Obama. He never seems to want to do anything, especially for the American people or the interest for us whatsoever. He always seems to be doing everything he can to help and evade the enemy.
Well, Joe, obviously, when I thought of it, you and Leanne were already on it, but you've got to get to this lady, and we need to see her on camera, describe this, be clear, explain that she actually saw the guns recoiling because it could have been part of the drill. If she sees that, and she sounds credible, but if you're able to vet this and get an interview with her, this is going to be bombshell. And if she is for real, which she probably is, she's probably being threatened right now.
Well, she's probably already been gagged by now at this point in time.
Well, try to get to her and find out. Go to her house. I don't care. Do whatever you obviously have to. This is a priority. I witnessed a terror attack. 3 all-white men did it. This is just over the top to see this, and then to have the drill happening at the exact same time. Now, she may have thought that guys in the drill were part of the shooting. So we need to get you there and really, gauge it with her on camera. But obviously, she needs to be talked to.
Well, the thing is, the police officer, the police officer I spoke to 2 days ago, I believe it was, he said that he was a third officer on scene. His partner was the second officer on scene. These guys were all in police uniform. There weren't anyone else that came in before that. So the first actual police responders, the first people there, from what he said, were actual cops and not people that would be dressed up in SWAT uniforms. So that's definitely an interesting thing for her to see that. Could it be confusion? Could it be the adrenaline pumping, not knowing what's going on, just being scared and just seeing people running? It's hard to
But
really
she sounds pretty clear. She sounds pretty clear twice about what she saw. And again, there was a drill, though. Were they part of the drill?
Yep, right down the street to my right, a few miles up the road, that's where it was taking place. And they have been known to be happening right here at this exact location as well in the past few months.
I don't know, Joe. You've gotten mad at folks that said other stuff was false flags. You were in Paris. You were at other events. But you said day one you smell a false flag.
With this one I do, because there's way too many things out there that just stick out. I mean, there's a lot of things that do not add up.
No, they don't. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there. We're going to come right back to you in 70 seconds. 4th hour, Infowars.com/show. Pray for this broadcast. Pray for America. Pray for peace. Pray for enlightenment. For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. InfoWarsLife.com developed Silver Bullet by closely working with one of the top silver manufacturing labs in the United States. We set out to bring you the very best at the lowest price. Find out more about the proprietary development of Silver Bullet at InfoWarsLife.com. In these times, it's essential to have high-quality colloidal silver on hand. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. All right, Joe Biggs will also be on the Nightly News tonight, filing a report and more. He's coming back to Austin here very soon with our great crew, and they've got a lot of HD video they're going to be compiling on their investigations into Islamabad and other facilities, Detroit, you name it. This is only leg one. It's going to be a three-part investigation, 2 more parts coming. Shifting gears out of whether this was a false flag or not. They let them in. They protected them. They attacked us. I believe more of this is going to continue to happen. But, Joe, looking at Obama saying everybody agrees we should, if you're on a no-fly list, you don't get guns. Well, no, they put innocent people on those. It's made up. Those are a fraud and complete garbage. This is an outrageous announcement that he wants laws passed to just put us on magic own gun list.
What would even spark that to even come up in conversation? That's what I don't understand. Neither person involved was on a no-fly list. So why does that pop up in regards to what happened here? And like you said, there's been people who've known to be preppers, people who work in Homeland Security that are even on the no-fly list. So anybody could get put on it. And then that could stop those people from being able to purchase a weapon to protect themselves. I just don't understand where his reasoning comes into
because
this.
He wants to be able to put us on list with no court. It's called dictatorship, yeah.
But I mean, I just don't understand how people in large numbers don't see through that.
No, I get it. There's no logic. It's an inversion of reality. They're waging war on common sense.
I mean, the fact that, like I said right before we went to break, the fact that he's saying that Americans are scared. I don't believe Americans are scared. I think they're pissed off. They're fed up. They're angry at the fact that we have the leader of the free world, who was quite frankly what a retired lieutenant colonel said last night live after the interview, a PU-55 Yankee. I don't want to say the word out, but I mean, if you spell it out, you write it down on a piece of paper, you understand what I get. This lieutenant colonel, live on TV on Fox Business, called the president that last night, and indeed that is what he is. He is the one that is scared. He is the one that is helping these guys out. He is the one that's bringing this terror, and then saying that we're scared. We're not scared. We're angry. We want a president who's going to stand up and do the right thing and protect our country and make sure that they have our best interests in need. This guy does not. He is treasonous. He should be impeached. But like you said, we're about a year away. It's not going to happen.
Well, it needs to. I mean, just they need to back off. I mean, let me tell you, this is a hardcore group. When on a bunch of channels they said, well, there was a Christmas tree, well, they were Jews, they were Christians, and then now they just come right out and say it. Hey, in major newspaper, hey, it was a guy was a Christian, that's bigoted. He was the problem. I mean, what type of freakazoid thinks that, much less puts it in a newspaper?
Yeah, I mean, this whole story just stinks to high heaven. You know, we're going to, in a minute, we just found the location of where the actual shootout was. We're going to go out there and investigate that, see if we can see any bullet holes in the fence or anything like that. Because, I mean, it's really odd to have, you know, your supposed dead suspect on the ground and they're both handcuffed. It's a little weird.
Well, what about when they let MSNBC in to contaminate the crime scene 2 days after, and the bed hadn't even been thrown? Nothing, the walls hadn't been torn out. Yeah, I mean, that place had hardly been rifled through.
Yeah, but they're saying, yeah, exactly. The police are saying that, oh, we were done with that. We'd already cleared it. We'd gone through everything. That's just super suspicious. And that even sounds like something that was staged in order to kind of help push the narrative they're trying to get out there.
Yeah, I tell you,
who goes in and shows that stuff? That goes against journalism 101. You don't show people's IDs and things like that, especially when there's an ongoing investigation. No one knows what's really going on. It seems like they're like, hey, look at this. This is how it really is. See, it's right here. See, look, this is how it is. And instead of just letting the evidence come out and point to that.
The standard operating procedure across the board is being turned off. They're flying in plane loads of people and not even looking at their IDs and telling us in the news. And they're I mean, normally for months that had been walled off. They had torn the walls out, torn it all out. We're told it's a bomb-making factory. Where are the bombs once we get in there?
I mean, it's hard to believe that could even be in there. I walked over it. That's a very small area. It's close-knit to everything. These are like little duplexes. Every garage is beside every garage all through there. There's no way that in this amount of time.
Now, you guys shot some amazing drone footage. Your reports are at Infowars.com on the Nightly News tonight. Great job with the journalism with you and Josh and Mr. Zimmerman and everybody else. Great job. And I know you're going to get back in Austin the next few days. Get out there, talk to that lady, talk to others, and keep it up, Joe. Great job.
All right, thank you.
All right, folks, pray for those guys. We'll be right back with Paul Joseph Watson from London.
Hillary Clinton wants to censor people who make fun of her. She was recently trying to censor comedy skits that poked fun at her, which were produced by the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, California. The owner of the Laugh Factory, Jamie Masada, told Judicial Watch that her campaign threatened to put him out of business if he didn't pull the videos. So in response to this attack on free speech, Infowars.com has launched the Make Fun of Hillary Defend the First Amendment contest with a first place cash prize of $5,000. We want the funniest, most outrageous satire and comedy videos guaranteed to make Hillary's blood boil. To enter, read the contest rules at Infowars.com/contest and then shoot a comedy or satire video making fun of Hillary Clinton. All entries must be uploaded to YouTube in a link emailed to hillarycontest@infowars.com. Enter your video before the contest deadline at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. Once again, the contest rules and information can be found at Infowars.com/contest. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com. We look forward to your video making fun of Hillary Clinton.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more focused, less brain fog, more energy, and it's because of Brain Force.
There's always hidden additives in your food. Even organic food has hidden additives. Staring at the computer all day, working, doing good, you're still damaging your brain. Ultimately, we've all been dumbed down to some degree.
It doesn't have stimulants. It doesn't have garbage in it. It has natural things that do it clean. You will find Brain Force and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigerex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
We're back. It's the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show Overdrive with me, your host, Paul Joseph Watson. I'll go to some of your calls in the second half of the hour. But first, this breaking news out of Sputnik. Suspected pro-ISIS refugee in Germany injures 2 police officers. These are the orphans and widows that Barack Obama says we shouldn't be worried about. A refugee shouted pro-ISIS slogans while attacking 2 German police officers who were responding late on Sunday to reports of a rail fare dodger in a railway station in the northwestern city of Osnabrück, police said Monday. So this is just breaking right now. The man has been identified as a Moroccan asylum seeker by police in the German state of Lower Saxony. No evidence linking the suspect to ISIS has emerged, although he was shouting Allah Akbar and pro-ISIS slogans while biting and attacking police. Again, a refugee who had just recently come in from Morocco, another one of these orphans and widows that we should have no concerns whatsoever about, according to President Barack Obama, which leads me to this story out of Breitbart.com. Migrants on video. Paris attacks good. By 2025, all of France will become Muslim. When asked on camera whether it's good to kill French people for Allah, Muslim migrants seeking asylum in Italy answered affirmatively, remarking that it's good to kill French people and warning of a looming December 8 Islamist attack on Rome. That's tomorrow. Of course, we know all the ISIS propaganda is centered around attacking Italy. They see that as the beginning of the final battle for their caliphate. But in a disturbing new video produced by the Italian television program L'aria C'è Tira, What's Trending, Presenters asked some asylum seekers and other migrants what they thought about the November 13 Paris attacks. The program interviewed migrants at the largest refugee center in Europe, located in the Sicilian province of Catania, asking what they thought about the Paris massacres. Listen to what they said. Remember, these are the orphans and widows that Barack Obama says we've got nothing to worry about. So they asked Christians about it first. One Christian migrant, of course, the vast majority of the refugees pouring into Europe are not Christians, they're Muslims. 4/5 of them aren't even Syrian. So they asked a Christian migrant from Africa what he thought about the Paris massacre. He said, "I'm sorry for Paris. We are Christians, we don't kill." Presenters then asked a Muslim migrant whether he thought the slaughter of over 100 people in Paris was a good or bad thing. Good, good, the man replied. Pressed further whether he thought it's good to kill French people, the man responded, "Yes, French, it is good." To the third question, whether it's good for a Muslim to kill for Allah, the man again replied, "Yes." Again, which is in line with all the polls, especially the Pew survey, which I've highlighted, which shows that the majority of Muslims in most Middle East and South Asian countries agree with this. They think that stoning women is acceptable, beheading gay people, killing people who try to leave the religion of Islam is all perfectly acceptable. So there's no surprise that when they go and ask these migrants in these camps in Italy, they come back with many of the same responses. The article continues. The program interviewed a 23-year-old Muslim migrant named Ahmed, who's been in Italy for 5 years, who shared his opinion of the Paris attacks, as well as the future of Islam in Europe. Outside the mosque in Catania, Ahmed told the journalist that, quote, by 2025, all of France will become Muslim. Look, he said, referring to the Paris massacre, it wasn't us foreigners who did this. They were born there, kids like these, who grew up and learned things about ISIS and Islam, and they did it. What I'm saying, he continued, is that our Quran said these things. So even the Muslim migrants there in the camp in Italy admit that this call to violence is in the Quran. It directly orders Muslims to go and kill the infidels, and the passages are right there for everyone to see. But of course, Barack Obama is still afraid to even say the term Islamic terrorism. So they interviewed all these migrants at this camp. They praised the Paris attacks. And these are the people that are going to be coming into Europe. They already have. In that case, they're going to be coming into America. And again, Obama says they're just orphans and widows and there's nothing to worry about. And you go back to Germany, where we just had another attack on police, as I just mentioned. The hospitals there are completely failing to cope with this migrant invasion. And they're actually having to hire security guards to be with the nurses during nighttime hours in these German hospitals because these migrants are just attacking the nurses. They're lunging at the nurses who are trying to give them free frigging healthcare, biting them. This is the culture that we're importing into Europe. And of course, ISIS again is bragging that it's going to infiltrate the West via this refugee program. This is out of the hill. ISIS has targeted refugee program to enter US, chairman says. Intelligence officials have determined that Islamic extremists have explored using the refugee program to enter the United States. The head of the House Homeland Security Committee said on Monday, this just broke an hour ago. Michael McCall declined to go into detail about the determination, which the Obama administration has not announced publicly. Again, orphans and widows, that's all that Obama will say about it. Yet the disclosure could add ammunition to critics of the White House's refugee plans, who have warned that the program is vulnerable to infiltration by adherents of the Islamic State. ISIS. Really? Do you think? Maybe you should actually go and read ISIS's own manifesto, their own propaganda, where they brag about how they're going to exploit this refugee program to infiltrate jihadists, just as they did for the Paris massacre. They actually went down to the Hungarian border where these refugees were coming in and hired some of those individuals who carried out the attack. Of course, the mastermind himself behind the Paris attack bragged about how he was able to exploit this migrant red carpet to plan the bloodshed in the capital of France. So we had this article last week, which didn't get much attention. ISIS brags about exploiting refugee program to send sleeper cells to Europe. A newly uncovered 99-page manifesto produced by the Islamic State brags about how the terror organization has exploited the refugee program to send jihadist sleeper cells to Europe since 2012, with the goal of creating Muslim no-go zones in Western cities that can be used as a base from which to launch further Paris-style attacks. So if you actually read this full manifesto, which I did, it says, basically brags brazenly that they're going to exploit the refugee program to create Muslim ghettos like the one in Molenbeek, Brussels, Belgium, which was the source of the planning for the Paris massacre. It was the ghetto that we walked into and got chased out, got told that we couldn't go in a restaurant because we were white, basically. So that's what ISIS wants to do. They want to create more of those no-go zones where police are afraid to venture, where they can get weapons, military-grade weapons on the street within an hour for €500, and they're going to exploit the refugee program to do that. And yet still we've got this narrative that it's just about orphans and widows. And we saw that again after the attack in San Bernardino. Of course, Loretta Lynch came out and said that we need to keep an eye on people who are spewing anti-Muslim rhetoric. Now she's had to walk that back to some extent. This is out of Politico.com. Lynch recalibrates message on hateful speech. Attorney General Loretta Lynch Monday appeared to recalibrate remarks she made last week that suggested the Justice Department could investigate speech deemed hostile towards Muslims. Of course, we prosecute deeds and not words, she said at a press conference. Some conservatives criticized Lynch for her comments to a Muslim civil rights group where she lamented, quote, the ability of people to issue hateful speech of all types from the anonymity of a screen. But if Loretta Lynch really wants to crack down on violent and hateful speech, maybe she should start with the Quran, because there's quite a lot of it in that book. She also said, quote, I think I can't say definitively right now what led either of these two people, in reference to the San Bernardino shooters, to pick up guns and become murderers, said Loretta Lynch. Well, I'll give you a clue, Loretta. It begins with is and ends with lamb. I think that was probably one of the key motivations as to why they did this. Coming up after the break, and we've got a ton of more news to cover. We're going to go to your calls as well. They're now saying on MSNBC, and this is Melissa Harris Perry, we're going to go to this clip after the break, that the New York Times was wrong to publish the photo of Tashfeen Malik, the San Bernardino shooter, the wife of Saeed Farouk. They were wrong to publish the photo because it might have been offensive to Muslims. Melissa Harris Perry actually said that. This is the same presenter who says that your children belong to the state. She wears tampon earrings, and now she's saying that it's offensive to Muslims that the New York Times published the photograph of this terrorist. And she's not the only one. An Al Jazeera employee, as I tweeted a couple of days ago, said that it was wrong to show the terrorist's face, quote, because it's disrespectful. It hurts the poor jihadist's feelings, boo-hoo. If she was wearing a burqa that covers her face, it's disrespectful to show a picture without. So he was actually concerned about the feelings of the dead terrorist and her family simply because the mainstream media were now showing her picture, which they didn't for at least 2 days. In fact, 3 days, they refused to show her face whatsoever. But now they're complaining about it. Melissa Harris Perry on MSNBC is saying that the jihadists might have had their feelings hurt by the fact that the New York Times published the photo of the woman partly responsible for the massacre in San Bernardino. Stay tuned. We're going to play the clip after the break. This is the Alex Jones Show Live, 4th Hour Overdrive. Stay tuned.
We've had an amazing year here at Supernatural Silver. We've truly enjoyed the fantastic response from thousands of people as they've tried our extraordinary product, and we're thrilled at the life-changing results people have. Our company email is continually full of happy, satisfied customers who thank us for the help they've received from Supernatural Silver. This holiday season, as you think of gifts to give your loved ones, consider giving Supernatural Silver, a gift that can help provide good health and wellness, a gift that can change lives and make a real difference. In a world where we are constantly exposed to dangerous health threats, give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance. Give Supernatural Silver. Go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code HOLIDAY2015 for 20% off. And this holiday season, we wish you and yours the blessings of peace and good health from all of us here at supernaturalsilver.com.
My fellow patriots, one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that the InfoWars operation reaches more than 20 million people a week worldwide with the message of liberty, and none of it is funded by major global corporations or by taxpayers. It's funded by free will, listeners and viewers like you who decide to visit InfoWarsStore.com and take advantage of some of the most high-quality, revolutionary products available today. And now, until December 18th, 2015, we are extending free shipping on top of huge discounts on cutting-edge nutraceuticals, high-quality non-GMO heirloom seeds, top-of-the-line water filtration systems that remove glyphosates, fluoride, and more. And the list of specials goes on and on. Some discounts are as high as 50% at InfoWarsStore.com on top of free shipping through December 18th at InfoWarsStore and InfoWarsLife.com. And remember, InfoWars is the operation that you built.
Do you have relatives and friends that are convinced there is no need ever to prepare for any kind of emergency? Are these also folks you buy Christmas presents for? At 30dayfoodsupply.com, we can solve both of these problems at the same time. Go to 30dayfoodsupply.com or call 541-229-0010. We can ship your Christmas presents directly to them. Choose from our original $99 30-day food supply, our long-term storage vegan burger mixes, and other oatmeal, soups, porridges, beans, and granolas for everyday use. All products are non-GMO, MSG-free, and vegetarian. Most are gluten, soy, and nut-free. Call 541-229-0010 today. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low, cutting out the middleman by buying directly from their producers in Oregon. Remember, only $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Visit the website 30dayfoodsupply.com. Call 541-229-0010. 30dayfoodsupply.com. 541-229-0010.
Earthquake, floods, winter storms, prolonged power outages, or war. Each of us have had that moment when we recognize that we need to be better prepared. We typically do the same thing. We start with food storage, then we address the need for water. But have you considered heat storage? I'm talking about staying warm in the cold. Here are some things for you to consider. How will I keep my family warm? The standard answers are firewood, coal, or propane. But the problem with that if you need to be on the move is you can't take it with you. Another concern? There may come a time when you need to stay warm without smoke, like in times of war. There may even come a time when you can't burn fuel. The answers may be simpler and less costly than you think. For these answers, go to fortressclothing.com. Again, fortressclothing.com has the answers to your heat storage dilemma. Don't get stuck in the cold. fortressclothing.com. You'll never be cold again.
We're back live. Hello. The Alex Jones Show. I'm Paul Joseph Watson. Deep Cleanse is available at the InfoWars store. Of course, we've got free store-wide shipping right now at InfoWarsStore.com. And you can get $5 off Deep Cleanse, scientifically formulated to use powerful nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients to aid the body's normal function of cleansing itself from chemicals and toxic metals. So that's available right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Now, before the break, I mentioned this clip, which we're going to go to. Melissa Harris Perry says that the New York Times was wrong to show the face of the San Bernardino terrorist. Here's the clip.
And then all of a sudden we find out they're Muslim. Bam, gun violence is out of the question. We start talking about terrorism, and I'm extremely disturbed. I mean, I looked at the New York Times cover today. Here you have a whole op-ed on gun control. Great. Right next to it is pictures from the apartment of things that I have in my house.
Yes.
Like, these are things that all Muslims have in their house. There's nothing about that tells you a story about what terrorism looks like. So you're telling me that when my friends who are not Muslim come into my home and see a Quran or see frames on the wall with a scripture from my religion, is that supposed to tell you something? I mean, it's absolutely outrageous. We would never do that to anyone, and we didn't do that to Deer. We didn't do that to Roof. I'm tired of the double standards of how we treat Muslims. I mean, they are the perpetrators.
That image, and then also right next to it, an image of the shooting suspect there in hijab, and that idea that, like, okay, this is what terrorism looks like. For me, that is a difference, and it is a material and meaningful difference.
There you have it, Melissa Harris Perry, saying that the New York Times publishing the photo of the terrorist, the woman who helped Farouk shoot dead, 14 people in San Bernardino, that was wrong, insensitive, and offensive to Muslims, merely showing a picture of the terrorist. This is the same woman who says that your children belong to the state, the same woman who wears tampon earrings on her show. And again, she's come out with absolute lunacy, saying that it boo-hoo, it might offend the feelings of the poor jihadists, because the New York Times dared to publish this photo, when in fact the mainstream media waited days before even showing the face of this woman. Again, people were speculating that could be because they didn't want to show her without her full face covering, because it might upset the feelings of the poor jihadists. Again, the special snowflakes that we should censor our own media to cater for. As I mentioned before the break, Melissa Harris Perry was not the only one who was upset about the media publishing this photograph. Hashim Saeed of Al Jazeera said in a tweet, "It's disrespectful." Again, to publish the photo of the terrorist is disrespectful to who? Other terrorists? I mean, are white people supposed to be all butthurt and offended if they publish a picture of Dylan Roof, for God's sake? He said it's offensive. If she was wearing a burqa that covers her face, it's disrespectful to show a picture without. So he's claiming that just because normally she wore a full-face burqa, because they had this image which showed the entirety of her face, that was offensive. It hurt the feelings of the poor jihadists. So it was wrong to do that. And then, of course, we had Linda Stasi of the New York Daily News publishing a vitriolic, hate-filled article blaming the victim of the attack for provoking the shooting, blaming this Messianic Christian Jew who had, God forbid, arguments with Farouk, the shooter, about religion, about politics before the shooting. She basically implied that he was equally responsible for the massacre as the actual gunman. Quote, "They were two hate-filled, bigoted municipal employees interacting in one department. Now 13 innocent people are dead in unspeakable carnage." So she actually piles him in with Farouk like he's the culprit. He's responsible for all the innocent people that died simply because he was against ISIS. He was a conservative. He supported the NRA. He disliked Planned Parenthood. And because of that, even though he was brutally gunned down dead, according to this sick New York Daily News columnist, he's equally to blame for the massacre. This is how the left reacts. I mean, imagine if somebody on the right, imagine if Ann Coulter or Bill O'Reilly had come out and blamed the victims, the black churchgoers, the victims of the Dylan Roof massacre, for the massacre which killed them because they said something political a few days before. Imagine the outrage on the left if that happened. Yet somebody on the left, a regressive leftist who is not a real liberal, says it, and, you know, it's move along, nothing to see here. So again, absolutely outrageous comments. And again, Melissa Harris Perry of MSNBC saying that it was offensive to publish the photo of the terrorist. Absolutely astounding. We'll be back with more news and your calls on the 4th hour overdrive of the Alex Jones Show. Stay tuned, Infowars.com.
Did you know that when you're serving jury duty, you have complete authority over the law and the power to stop the government? That's right. As a juror, you can not only judge the defendant, but also the law he's being charged with as well. That's a little-known secret prosecutors don't want you to know. For example, let's say a man is charged with marijuana possession and you don't agree with that law. Well, as a juror, you can decline charging the man because you don't believe the law is justified. Judges and prosecutors have misled juries into believing that they should only examine the facts of the case and not the law. But the juror can actually stop the enforcement of unconstitutional laws in two ways. As a grand juror, you may refuse the government's request to pursue criminal charges against the accused. And as a trial juror, you can acquit the defendant who is charged with breaking an unconstitutional law. Either way, by using jury nullification, the juror has the power to say no, thus having an immediate and direct effect on our government. You can find out more from the Fully Informed Jury Association, which can be found at www.fija.org. This is Kit Daniels with Infowars.com.
Alex Jones here. InfoWarsStore.com is now partnering with the top-of-the-line storable food company, My Patriot Supply, to bring you the highest quality, freshest, longest-lasting, most affordable storable foods, private labeled, from InfoWarsSelect.com at the lowest price you're going to find anywhere. The globalists want us dependent. We need to be self-sufficient. And if you don't have high-quality, long-lasting, storable foods, I believe you're making a huge mistake. My goal is to find the best deals and bring it to you. Now is the time to take action and to secure your pantry for any emergency. You can buy all the great My Patriot Supply products at InfoWarsStore.com. They're the exact same products inside InfoWarsSelect.com. Visit InfoWarsSelect.com or InfoWarsStore.com today to check out the amazing deals for yourself. Secure you and your family's needs today at InfoWarsStore.com with InfoWars Select. That's InfoWarsSelect.com or 888-253-3139. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Back on the Alex Jones Show live 4th hour overdrive. I'm your host, Paul Joseph Watson. And of course, Obama gave his big speech last night in which he said that Farouk, the San Bernardino killer, was following a perverted interpretation of Islam. That's how Obama framed it, as if the Quran contained no directions to violence whatsoever, which of course we know that it does. We've had this whole cloud of political correctness in the aftermath of the San Bernardino shooting. We've had liberals try to make the justification that maybe Farouk carried out the rampage because he was offended by the Christmas party. Maybe he was offended because they made fun of his beard. These are some of the ridiculous speculations that have been trotted out in the aftermath of this shooting, when, of course, we know where he derives his motivation from. It's not hard to guess when it happens over and over again, when ISIS itself cites passages in the Quran, says that they attacked people in Paris because they brought corruption upon the earth, again, following directly the commandments of Muhammad from the Quran. But Obama says basically Islam is a religion of peace and that it's nothing to do with the Quran, that Farouk was following a perverted interpretation of Islam. Well, this video just went up on Infowars.com about an hour ago, and we're going to premiere the clip now on the Alex Jones Show. Islam is not a religion of peace. Here's the clip. Islam is not a religion of peace. Anyone who still claims this in 2015 is either stupid or they're a liar. Every time I say that Islam is not a religion of peace, I get death threats from Muslims. How dare you say that Islam is violent? We're going to prove you wrong by violently killing you. At least 10 Muslim countries impose the death penalty for apostasy. They execute people for saying they're no longer Muslims. Polls show that the majority of Muslims support killing people for saying they're no longer Muslim. Executing people for not believing the same thing as you is violent and wrong. It's not peaceful.
Because it's the only religion that acts like the mafia, that will kill you if you say the wrong thing, draw the wrong picture, or write the wrong book.
At least 10 Muslim countries impose the death penalty for homosexuality. They execute people for their sexual preference. Polls show that the majority of Muslims are completely intolerant of homosexuality. Executing people for being gay is violent and wrong. It's not peaceful. At least 11 Muslim countries, or ruling tribes in those countries, stone women to death. They stone women to death for allegedly committing adultery. Rape victims are also stoned to death. Polls show that the majority of Muslims in these countries support stoning women to death for adultery. Stoning women to death for committing adultery or being raped is violent and wrong. It's not peaceful. Whenever Muslims carry out terror attacks, they cite the Quran as justification. The Quran contains a plethora of passages that directly encourage Muslims to kill non-Muslims. I'll leave a list in the description. Note that there isn't a Quran 2, which is only read by radicals or extremists. There's only one Quran, in which acts of violence are specifically encouraged. Although a minority, a disturbing number of Muslims support terror attacks. For example, 39% in Afghanistan and 29% in Egypt. Killing innocent people in terror attacks is violent and wrong. It's not peaceful. But there's over 1 billion Muslims who would never commit terror, kill gay people, stone women to death, or execute apostates. Right. But they subscribe to a belief system which advocates all of those things and carries them out. So they have two choices. Either continue to advocate all those violent things, or acknowledge that Islam is violent and not a religion of peace, and agree that Islam is in dire need of a reformation. But most victims of terror attacks are Muslims. Right, so they have two choices. Either continue to deny that Islam is violent and keep being killed in terror attacks, or acknowledge that Islam is violent and not a religion of peace, and agree that Islam is in dire need of a reformation. Saying most victims of terror are Muslims is not an argument. But what about the Crusades?
Remember that during the Crusades and the Inquisition, people committed terrible deeds in the name of Christ.
The fact that Christians fought against Muslims in a military campaign nearly 1,000 years ago does not excuse the fact that Muslim countries in 2015 kill gay people, stone women to death, and execute Muslims who give up on the faith of Islam. Saying, but what about the Crusades, is not an argument. But what about Western foreign policy? The fact that Western military forces have launched unprovoked acts of regime change in the Middle East is terrible, and I've been a vocal critic of those wars for the entirety of my adult life. History has proven that such wars only empower violent jihadists. But that doesn't excuse Muslim countries in 2015 killing gay people, stoning women to death, and executing those who give up on the faith of Islam. Western foreign policy has had no effect on laws derived from the Quran in countries like Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, which impose the death penalty for these supposed crimes. Saying, but what about Western foreign policy, is not an argument. But what about violent passages in the Old Testament? Unlike Islamic countries, there are virtually no Christian nations besides Uganda that kill gay people, execute apostates, and stone women to death. That's because Christianity had a reformation in the 1500s, which purged it of its most intolerant and violent aspects. Islam hasn't had a reformation. That's why it's still intolerant and violent. Pointing to intolerant passages in the Old Testament, which no one has acted on for hundreds of years, is not an argument. Saying, but what about violent passages in the Old Testament, is not an argument. How do we move towards reforming Islam? Well, first, we don't shout down the voices of reform by calling them bigots, apostates, and Islamophobes. We don't automatically denounce anyone who criticises the violent and intolerant parts of the Quran as a racist. Islam is not a race. And we don't excuse or hide the fact that Islam is violent by redundantly citing an array of supposed justifications which are completely unrelated. So I welcome your comments, but here's a challenge. Try to rebut my argument without using the words bigot, racist, or Islamophobe. Try to directly address my argument without citing the Crusades, Western foreign policy, or passages in the Old Testament. None of those things disprove that Islam is a violent and intolerant belief system. Also, claiming I'm a Zionist shill, a crypto Jew, or a Christian fundamentalist with no proof is not an argument. And again, Islam is not a race. It's an ideology.
It's gross. It's racist. It's not.
Saying it's racist to criticize Islam is like saying it's racist to criticize socialism or atheism. That's not an argument. Islam is not a religion of peace. But I challenge you to prove me wrong. But please, just try and lay off the death threats, because that's not an argument. Okay, there you have it, the video. Islam is not a religion of peace. Get that out, share it around. It could go viral by the looks of it. But of course, the challenge I made in the video is rebut my argument that Islam is not a religion of peace without calling me a bigot, an Islamophobe, or a racist, because Islam is not a race, without referring to the Crusades, a military campaign where Christians fought Muslims nearly 1,000 years ago, without referring to US foreign policy, which has no effect whatsoever on countries like Saudi Arabia, who make laws that lead to women being stoned and gays being beheaded. Try and rebut my argument without referring to any of those things. Try and rebut my argument without referring to passages in the Old Testament which aren't even relevant anymore because nobody's acted on them for 500 years or more. There was a Christian Reformation in the 16th century. There hasn't been a Reformation of Islam to purge it of its intolerant and violent aspects, which is why these terrorists still cite the Quran when they carry out these attacks. And of course, you can't really call yourself a, quote, moderate Muslim if you still believe in stoning women and executing gay people. So again, we need Muslims from within the faith to lead this march to reform Islam, which some of them are, to be fair, and people, ex-Muslims who have left, they're the ones on the front lines, people like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, trying to reform Islam and, of course, being shouted down at every single point by both Islamists and the left, who have made this alliance of intolerance, and they're perfectly fine with gays being beheaded, women being stoned to death, because they never criticize it and they never get to the root of it, which is Islam itself and the Quran. So get that video, share it out, and we can try and reach some people. Of course, I say try and rebut my argument without calling me a racist, a bigot, or an Islamophobe. All the comments on YouTube, negative ones anyway, are calling me a racist, a bigot, and an Islamophobe. So they've completely failed, or they've not bothered to watch the actual video. We're going to go to some of your calls in a minute, but I wanted to cover this story. Of course, on Saturday night, we had a knife-wielding jihadist in an underground station in London who slashed someone's neck, nearly killed them, while chanting out, "This is for Syria." New York Daily News reports knife-wielding London terrorist had ISIS images, Paris attack photos on his phone. But again, nothing to do with the religion of peace, obviously. In fact, we had people on the news saying this might be just mental illness. He's shouting out, "This is for Syria." In other words, this is for ISIS, who the UK is now bombing in Syria. He's got photos of ISIS on his phone. He's got photos of the Paris massacre on his phone. But again, nothing to do with Islam. The knife-wielding nut accused of terrorizing a London underground station over the weekend kept images of ISIS and its attacks on his phone, prosecutors said Monday. Suspected terrorist Muhaddin Maya, 29, was was hauled to Westminster Magistrates Court in a police van to face an attempted murder charge for his attack. So you had this guy slashing people's throats in the underground. It was all caught on camera. And how did the cuckolded British left respond within hours? With a hashtag, "You ain't no Muslim bruv," because one of the people filming this jihadist carrying out his attack said the words "You ain't no Muslim bruv" in an attempt to detach his actions, his violent actions, from the religion of Islam. And then, of course, the politically correct, obsessed left jumped on this. It started trending on Twitter, and it made everybody feel a little bit better because now we don't have to blame it on Islam because it's the religion of peace, even though it's clearly not. But, you know, so long as everybody was able to virtue signal and earn social brownie points with all their trendy friends, then it was all okay. Everybody felt a bit better. But again, someone made the point on Twitter after this hashtag, "You ain't no Muslim, bruv," was trending. The bar has been set so low that a Muslim who's not in favor of random stabbings is hailed as a hero. And that says it all, because the guy obviously saying this was a Muslim too. But as Pat Condell points out, are we sure "You ain't no Muslim, bruv" was directed at the attacker and not at the bearded cop holding him down? Because, of course, one of the police officers who apprehended this terrorist, who was black, was Muslim, quite clearly. So the guy who said "You ain't no Muslim, bruv" could have been talking about the cop who apprehended the terrorist. He might not have even been addressing his comment to the terrorist. So if that turns out to be the case, it's going to be a spectacular defeat for the narrative of the leftists and the regressive left, those obsessed with political correctness, because they tried to claim this to point out that this attacker, this jihadist, they tried to divorce his acts, his violent actions, from the religion of Islam. And that was the entire narrative in the day after the attack. It could blow up spectacularly if that proves to be the case. But now he's in court, so we'll continue to follow that story. Let's go to one of these callers. Daryl in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead, Daryl.
Hey, how are you?
Good, Daryl. What's on your mind today?
Well, those are good points you were making. I wanted to also make a comment on the fact that, you know, if someone is getting offended that her face is being shown, why aren't they directing their outrage towards her? Because if she didn't want her face shown, she shouldn't have done that. And it's like, if we have a KKK member and someone outs them by showing their face in the newspaper, we're not worried that they offended the KKK members. So everyone should be directing their outrage towards her for sort of making a breach of Islam by forcing the media to show her face. I mean, the outrage should be directed towards her. I also wanted to make a comment about the Christmas lighting ceremony. From what I understand, the governor of California canceled the Christmas lighting ceremony, and this is not the way you fight this type of thing. You do the exact opposite. What you do is you say, if the Christmas tree offended the person, then let's put a Christmas tree on every corner. And then you say something, and I'm going to say 3 words that I think are going to have to be said sooner or later, because you can tell people no. You can tell Congress no. You can tell supposed lawmakers, you can tell them no all you want to. People that are violating your rights and assaulting you, you can be nice to them and you can tell them no. But eventually you have to draw a line in the sand, and you have to look them in the eyes and say 3 words, and those words are, make your move. So that point is when you give no more and you say no and you mean it. And so they should put a Christmas tree on every corner and simply say, make your move.
Okay, Daryl, thanks for the call. I vehemently agree with that. And of course, the kind of attitude that you're talking about is the same kind of attitude that we saw after the Charlie Hebdo attack in Paris back in January, which is segments of the left, which again are allied with Islamists, blamed the cartoonists for the massacre. They said they were provoking the poor jihadists who had their special snowflake sensitive feelings hurt, and that in some way justified the brutal massacre of those cartoonists. We saw the same rhetoric after the Garland attack, which was thankfully stopped because of armed, responsible men with weapons. Unfortunately, none of the victims in San Bernardino had that protection. We'll be back. We're going to take one more call, I think, after the break and finish up on the news. This is the Alex Jones Show, 4th Hour Overdrive. Stay tuned. Infowars.com.
My name is Don Wiskin, and at 42 years old, I suffered a massive heart attack and was told I'd be on disability for the rest of my life. What did I do? I created Extendivite, a garlic and cayenne mix of 7 herbs which rebuilt my heart and gave me back my life. For over 17 years now, I have made this formula available to you so you don't have to suffer the same thing I did. Clean your blocked arteries and strengthen your heart and boost your natural immune system. I'm 60 years old now, and I still work every day. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigyrex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
Thousands of people seeking home security get ripped off every day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that's your only option. They've got hordes of salesmen out there trying to scare you into signing one of their long-term contracts. You get stuck writing huge checks month after month with no way out. It's robbery by contract, and it can cost you thousands. But there's a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get award-winning 24/7 protection. Security professionals watching over your home, ready to instantly send police to the rescue for just $14.99 per month. That's less than half what most companies charge. Protect your home the smart way. Visit simplysafedefense.com today for an exclusive 10% offer and get a free keychain remote worth $25. Only when you go to simplysafedefense.com. simplysafedefense.com.
We're back, final segment of the 4th Hour Overdrive on the Alex Jones Show. Remember, InfoWarsStore.com. We've got Deep Cleanse, scientifically formulated to use powerful nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients to aid the body's normal function of cleansing itself from chemicals and toxic metals. Free store-wide shipping as well. This is going to make a good Christmas gift, as will all the other products. And, of course, it helps us build the platform. It's key to continue your support by purchasing the products at InfoWarsStore.com. Well, Barack Obama continues to be the most prolific gun salesman that America has ever seen. Reuters is reporting Americans stock up on weapons after California shooting. Market Watch, this just broke, gun stocks rally after Obama's primetime address on terrorism. Shares of the two publicly traded gun makers rallied on Monday, a day after President Barack Obama gave a primetime address calling for a modest reduction in the availability of firearms. Of course, he's calling for the TSA no-fly list to be linked to a no-gun-buy list, which ironically will create a list of Muslims, just as Donald Trump was criticized for calling for. It will create a surveillance list mainly comprised of Muslims because they make up a significant portion of the TSA no-fly list, so Obama can call for it. It's trendy. If Trump calls for it in a different context, it's racist and Islamophobic. Let's go to one more call here. Kevin in California, you're on the air. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Good to hear from you. Yeah, I've been trying to call so many times. I'm glad to finally get through, but I wanted to, bang the drum a little more on this subject with, the Christmas party out ban. It's ridiculous, and one, it's completely anti-American. This country was founded with the cornerstone of the basis of religious freedom and the ability to express it. With the right and left hand being, the right to defend ourselves equally to whoever might oppress us, revising it for modern day. And, of course, our right arm for freedom of speech to defend ourselves, basically to defend our religious freedom. It's really almost like the keystone to our entire declaration. And I think it's time, this is kind of like one of those last straw issues. I think everybody should be upset about this. I think anybody who openly says that we should restrict our religious freedoms needs to be prosecuted. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I fully agree, and it's this idea that we've got to be tolerant of all these foreign cultures that are coming in, which we have been completely tolerant. Yet when it comes to Americans, for example, at universities, having Christmas cards, sending Christmas cards, taking mistletoe to a Christmas party, even the decor being red and green. Top universities across America are now sending out advisories saying that that's not politically correct. That might upset someone of a different faith. So it all has to be this generic holiday party BS. So again, we have to accept this invading culture, which in many cases is completely intolerant and anti-American. Yeah, Americans can't go to Christmas parties, can barely even say the word Merry Christmas, can't exchange Christmas cards, can't have, red and green decor. It's completely ludicrous. And again, we have this whole Islamophobia meme, which Obama harped on about last night. If you look at the stats, only 16% of hate crime attacks in the US are against Muslims. 55% are against Jews. So when they bring in this meme of Islamophobia to try and shut down dissent criticism of the refugee program, for example, it's completely fraudulent. That's going to wrap it up for the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show. Remember, go to the InfoWars store to get all the products, support the platform, and get that video out. Islam is not a religion of peace. Share that video. We'll be back tomorrow with a live show. InfoWars Nightly News tonight. Infowars.com.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.